High five, Phil Spencer. Great job, bro. You did a great job at work today. Let's go, bro.
Okay. Content Farm 15. Had a little bit of a break here. We did actually record an episode last week, but there were some technical difficulties and other stuff, and didn't end up uploading it. So that was going to be 15, but this is Content Farm 15 now. So, welcome back, Peter, of course.
Hello. How's it going?
And Clyde again. Clyde's back. Clyde's back again. He's fucking back.
I'm back. Thanks, Dale, for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah, Clyde, not your friend on YouTube. Link top of the description as usual, whatever. He's growing a mullet, so subscribe to see the mullet growth progression. I'm expecting like a picture of the mullet every day. Like a time lapse.
Why were you growing a mullet again?
Why are you fucking growing a mullet? Why are you fucking growing a mullet? Get into this right now.
Yeah. Well, I'm at this point where, like, you know, I'm approaching midlife crisis range, and I feel like a mullet is the perfect antidote to a midlife crisis. It'll really set me straight. So it's kind of like Julia Roberts, if you've ever seen Eat, Pray, Love, but for me, it's video games and a mullet. So
I don't know what
I thought it was opposite. I thought people with mullets have a midlife crisis and then they change their hair, but you're doing it backwards.
I'm going backwards.
You're flipping it. You're flipping the table over.
Is the mullet going to enhance your new YouTube rebranding persona situation?
I am hoping so. I'm hoping that people really, you know, see themselves when they look in that mullet and they see just how beautiful it looks, and they go, "This is a guy I can really connect with." You know, fuck that straight edge. Oh, excuse me. Screw that straight edge persona. You know, it's terrible. We want need the mullet. It really will sell that bad boy identity I'm going for. You know, it'll really sell that bad boy aura about me. So let's go intense mullet. But yeah, I thought I could do it in 2 months, and I'm learning now that no, that's going to take a long time. It's going to be a long commitment.
How long have you been growing a mullet for?
Literally 2 weeks and 2 days. We're on day 2 of week 3, and I'm like, I was expecting like boom, but no, we're not even like 1% of the way there. So,
but how do you grow a mullet though? Like, so are you growing the top and back? Is that how that works?
Like, I did not expect to get grilled about my mullet growing techniques.
It's really important. I'm gonna press you on this.
Asking the real questions right after the
literally.
Low key for everyone in chat. If there are people watching this that actually have a mullet and you have sage advice, please share it. Because being entirely real with you, Sean, my plan was just stop haircutting the back, like haircut around the back.
Okay. I mean, that kind of makes sense.
Let the party grow, right?
Yeah, I feel like that might work. Just don't cut the top though, otherwise you'll like only have like. Imagine if you just only had hair on the back, nowhere else, like a fucking like some kind of bird.
I'm telling you, y'all's silent judgment is not going to age well. I'm telling you, in 6 months, both Peter and Sean, they're going to come to me privately. They're going to be like, "Clyde, I was a doubter. I didn't think your mullet would look that fierce, and your mullet looks amazing." And I'm going to say, go back to that episode we recorded 6 months ago and tell me those words don't sting. Words hurt, guys. Words hurt. No,
oh my God. We should get him off. He's never coming back. Okay, let's get off the mullet now. Sorry, I'm finished with the mullet questions. I'll let you off for now. Next episode, we'll ask you about the mullet again.
Like we need like a progress bar, like mullet tracker. Like yeah, it's growing by 1% every 2 weeks. Like, come on.
Right, gentlemen, should we talk about the major topic of the last couple of weeks? Hitting it kind of late, but it's I mean it's still very relevant. I think that it all comes to head at the end of July is when we're going to really find out what happens with this. But I'm of course referring to the Stop Killing Games initiative. I know you both are very familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Thoughts? Any immediate thoughts rushing out for anyone?
I mean, there's a little truth on both sides, but definitely, I don't see what's wrong with allowing people to play a multiplayer game as a single player, or I mean, without the devs, whether they want to play it without servers or make their own servers. I see nothing wrong with that, and that wouldn't be too hard to implement.
To clarify for anyone watching who's not caught up, the Stop Killing Games initiative was started by Mr. Ross Scott, who is like his handle is Accursed Farms. He's another farmer. We should get him on Content Farm for some farming crossover. But the initiative basically, there's a few bullet points, but the general gist is that they aim to make it illegal to delete a game, like leave a game in an unplayable state to the point where no one can play it. That because that violates consumer rights. At least according to common sense, it does. You pay for a game, you pay for a game. They don't specify like an expiry date. It's not a rental. It's not a service. You pay for a game. You would think that you are entitled and have rights to that game for ever, as long as you want it. But in the current industry, that's not the case. I think just yesterday, actually, it was announced that Anthem is being shut down permanently. That game is only 6 years old. That's not even like a very, very old game. That's that game.
I'm honestly surprised it lasted for 6 years. But,
so am I. But like, it came out in 2019, I believe. So it's not even
had
that
a rough
old.
start. A really rough start. They must have either improved it, or there must be like a really diehard community for it.
Look, I'm not sad. I'm not sad that it's going, but it is going, and technically that's kind of shady because I think it was a full price game when it came out, right? It's not like a half price game. It was a full price game. It's EA. It's BioWare. Of course, it was. The fact that that's
imagine
BioWare
being one of the
crazy,
people
by
who
way.
bought it like a week before it shut down. Hey, I kind of like this game. Why didn't I play this game earlier? Oh,
someone got like a Steam, someone got like a key for it, and they were like, oh, like maybe this will be like a hidden gem game. Breaking news: Anthem is closing down. I think they did say it's oh, I don't remember. It's not like anytime soon though. I think it's either the end of the. I think it might be the end of the year. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, Anthem is closing down.
At least most companies, they just shut off the servers. But I've heard of, I think EA is notorious for this, just like removing games from your library, just pulling them completely out of your library, you know?
That's craziness.
Yeah. It's like, oh, yeah, you don't play this anymore. You don't want this anymore. This is gone. Like, that's even worse.
I wish they'd leave
there
a
should
little
definitely
like,
be a
icon
line
there. Like, thanks for your money. We appreciate the money, but this game has been delisted. Like, dang, like
We could
let's
refund
go.
you, but we won't.
Click here to tip 10%.
Right? Yeah. Like,
Buy our next game, the game you just played, 2.
yeah.
Jeez. There's 2 petitions that I'm aware of connected to Stop Killing Games. One of them is in the UK, and it's I think it requires 100k, like 100,000 signatures. Sorry. I'm in the UK, so I signed that one almost immediately upon hearing that exists. If you're not in the UK, it's not legal to sign that. That's a criminal offense if you sign it and you're not from the UK. I think. Well, I'll get into like how the signatures are coming along in a minute, because that's kind of funny and it's also interesting and maybe not as good as it could be. But there is also like an EU, like European Union version of the I've forgotten the word, the thing that you have to sign, the petition. Sorry, the petition. That one requires 1 million signatures, obviously being across Europe. Yeah, basically, it came to the beginning of July, so like last week or a few days ago. And Ross Scott, the founder, uploaded the video basically conceding defeat. At least that's how the video came across. It was a video basically saying like, I think we're not going to reach the requirement for these signatures, but this is like me falling on my sword. This is like the last attempt to garner some attention toward the movement. I'm going to make this last video while it's still July. There's a month left. And the video went insanely viral to the point where I think most of the people who know about the controversy only know of it because of the video that he made and Pirate Software. But that's a whole different thing entirely. But yeah, that video went kind of crazy. There was a lot of controversy surrounding it. So the petitions had like the biggest boost they've ever had. The EU petition went from 500k to 1 million signatures in days, and same with the UK one. I think it was around half, and it also passed the threshold in a couple of days. There's a few caveats surrounding that though, because like I said before, it's bad to fake sign these, which is easy to do. You can just, like, I don't know, use a VPN or whatever, or just and then just fake all of the details. And if you do those, each signature gets verified, and if they're not verified, they don't count. So every signature that was just displayed on the screens on the website may have been like, before they were checked. So I think based on like kids watching YouTube and shit, I genuinely think a lot, like possibly like a quarter or maybe more of the signatures on both petitions are non-genuine, because I don't believe that they're all that I don't believe that more than like 70% of them are actually all European or UK. I don't think
70%, really.
No, I'm just saying, like, I think there's a good fraction, maybe like up to a third or around that area, that are in some way non-genuine.
It's easily possible, like 25 to 30%.
In some way, not necessarily fake, but like maybe they like a misspelling or a like an error, or they are fake, or someone's just not.
But it was supposed to get 1 million, right?
Yeah, and it did, but it's not.
And it went over that, right?
Oh, it's well over now. I think it, as of time of recording this video, it might be on 1.2, 1.3.
Okay. So there's a bit of a safe space between there, right?
That was the goal, yeah. Scott, sorry, Ross said
200K could be fake, and they'd still get it.
Yeah.
So hopefully.
That's what Ross said. Ross said in his video. He said that he spoke to someone who deals with this kind of stuff, and like they know the likely, like, the statistics of how many are probably non-genuine. And he said that like 1.3 mil is good, 1.4 mil is probably safe. Like you're definitely crossing the threshold at that point.
Yeah, I'd say worst case would be like 40% of them.
Worst case, yeah, surely, absolutely worst case.
But I'd say bare minimum would be like 25%.
But that's I agree. I think those are likely the statistics. Yeah, but now that I've kind of just laid it all out on the table, I don't think I missed anything important about the actual specifics of the thing. There is like some specifics, but that we'll talk about in a second. But just based off what I just said, any thoughts from anyone about like what you like what do you agree or disagree, or like how much are you leaning toward the petition, the movement, or do you have any critiques or issues with the movement?
Well, like I said, I support the users being able to play games after the fact. Like I said, it just doesn't seem that hard to implement, and there's so much goodwill if they do that, and it's if they really care about people playing a game, they won't just cut them off from it the second it stops making money for them, right? Like, did you really make the game for people to have fun? If the second you're not able to make money, then you just rip it from their hands, right? It seems pretty cruel and unethical.
Yeah, I come at this from a different angle, which is like just to give context for anybody out there listening that's like, why would anyone be against this? Why would someone be against keeping games alive? There are very public proponents against this initiative that claim like, oh, it will increase the cost of game development, or it'll put undue development taxes on these creators that that would otherwise not, it'll strain already strained studios to have to keep their game alive, and man, that's just a horrible thing. But I come at this from a different perspective, and I'm curious to hear how you feel about this, Sean, because you are in you're in the area where you can actually sign this thing. Just for context, Peter and I can't. We're across the pond, like watching. We're just watching with bated breath to see if the EU will take a stance on this, and hoping that it will. But I actually view this as like I'm sure someone's gonna like spit out their coffee hearing me say this, but I think of video games as like art. Like, I think of them as our culture. Like, I think they're like something that we collectively share in
undeniably,
and enjoy.
right?
Yeah, so the idea that like they can just be deleted without any repercussions is kind of insulting, I think, to our community. It's kind of insulting to our family and our friends, the people who enjoy video games. And it's also just super disrespectful to like the people who made it, like the people who spent 10 years making Anthem, just to be like, sorry, bro, it wasn't viable to keep some servers offline, so we deleted all that shit you spent your time on. All those weekends that this artist spent with, not spending time with your family, we just deleted all your work. Like, what the hell? Like, that's just, I don't know. I come at this from like, games are art, and we should protect art. And and like, yeah, it costs money and time and resources to do that. But so what? Like, we should just do that because it's the right thing to do. It's our culture. I don't know. That's just me. That's me spitballing.
Yeah, yeah. I remember there were two very popular movie reviewers here in the U.S. called Siskel and Ebert. And they did the whole two thumbs up, or one thumbs up kind of thing. And I remember, I think Ebert or something was the one who said like he didn't consider video games as art, and like I
Yeah,
lost all respect for him when he said that. Like
right.
absolutely hot fucking take. Like,
I don't
oh
understand how you could
god,
say that. That doesn't make sense.
right. I mean, like I've told people before that like games are like one of the ultimate forms of art. You got actual art like images, drawings, you have music, you have singing, you have story, you have writing, you have
You have Godzilla twerking with 110s on in Fortnite.
I mean it is
Slap it
art.
art. It's art.
Art. It is art.
It
Yeah.
is. It is.
I mean, but there's like games that are just like works of art. You know what I mean? Like they're experiences, just like a book or a movie or something. It's something that you feel, and they make
Yeah.
you think. And you experience something that you couldn't from any other form of media, and it's interactive.
Yeah.
Like you get to play around. You're not just staring at the screen watching things unfold. You're actually playing a part of it, and your actions have consequences, and you're actually able to, complete the story however you want. And it's just there's so many different kinds of games too. It's just such a wide, you know.
Also, think about it like this, Peter. Like we just Sean gave us the example of like Godzilla twerking in the bikini or whatever, but like even though like it's easy to dismiss that as like stupid flippant stuff, I guarantee you there is some kid out there that is a core memory for them. Like that is something they geeked out
Yeah,
with their
of course
parents
it is. Yeah.
about, and it's like their it's an inside joke to their family of like, oh man, Godzilla's twerking on the Christmas tree again or whatever. And it's like yeah, it's stupid art, but it's still art that means something to someone. So like let's not just flippantly hit the delete button on everything like that. Yeah, that's my perspective. But yeah, I mean let's be real. Not all art is equal, but it's all art. So I mean it's like it's all there's all
I'd even say it's one of the most enjoyed forms of art by time, because
Yeah.
how long can you look at a painting? How many times can you listen to a song? How many times can you read a book, watch a TV show, versus how many hours do you spend playing just one game? Just one
Right.
game. How many hours do you actually spend on it? Versus have you ever listened to a song for that? Have you ever, watched a movie for that? Have you ever seen a series for that? Like, there's so much time that you put into a game, and it's because there's so much in it, right? It's
Right.
not just empty. Um, and, and there's a lot of value from that too. Like people will say, oh, this game isn't a $50 game, or this is more like a $20 game or something like that. But considering how much time, you go to the movies, you pay like what, $20, you get like maybe 1.5, 3 hours, but you get like 20 hours in a game, you're like, oh man, I got scammed.
Yeah.
It's just completely different expectations. You know what I mean?
Right. But yeah, I think the TLDR for us, Sean, is that if we were across the pond, we would be signing that shit. Like we
Yeah.
would be absolutely signing that petition. So kudos on you for putting your name on it. I wish we could be a part of. I wish we could be on the right side of history, but we're Americans.
You're
and we do everything.
Well, I'm glad we're all on the same page. I mean, for me, it's just absolutely a no-brainer. I think, like you said, these things that are core memories for people, these things that have artistic value, even if it's the Crew 2, which I remember being a terrible game, or even if it's Anthem, which I remember being just a terrible slop game. They still have value. Like they do. You can't argue it. Like you really can't argue it at all. Anthem looks great. Do you remember when they showed that E3 demo, which may have been a little bit fake, but remember when they showed that E3 demo and it just blew all our minds? Even in that
People
game
were
now,
hype about that game. I remember seeing that. I'm like, that does look pretty cool.
but even now, like the game looked like that. The whole Iron Man flying around thing, they nailed it in that game. It looks cool as fuck. I haven't played it, or at least if I did, it wasn't very long. But that just looks cool. That's definitely some form of value, and the fact that it's going to be deleted to the point where just no one is allowed to play it anymore is a strange feeling. It's a really really weird feeling. Like, so there's something like that can just go. It's not something that's like always available online or always available in some sort of like hard copy. Well, there might be a hard copies, but obviously you just won't be able to log into the servers, so you won't be able to play.
Right. And notice how this argument doesn't track for any other form of art, right? Like we don't permanently delete movies, or we don't permanently delete paintings just because maintaining
Streaming
them
would like to talk to you about the movies thing, by the way.
That's true, actually. That's a good point. There will come a day that will not age well. By the time I have a mullet, we will be having this conversation going, Clyde, you said movies don't get deleted, and look at this. Superman 4 just got deleted. And I'll be like, damn it.
I say it because Netflix, not just Netflix, just streaming services all over. They'll like pull series, and like a series will disappear, and it might reappear on another service, or it might just disappear completely.
Yeah, but these services, you pay for them monthly, and like if you stop, you can stop paying, and then you don't have right to any of those goods anymore. That's not that right. Whereas a one-time purchase is different. But no, I still understand your point, because it's not about the service; it's about the content they have on it. Because it's not necessarily like a Netflix exclusive or a Disney exclusive thing. It can just be anything. And if everyone stopped streaming it, and it's something that doesn't have a hard copy, like some shows only release online, especially now, right? Like the shows don't have like hard copies anymore. I don't think so, anyway. I genuinely don't know. Has anyone seen like a Falcon and Winter Soldier hard copy? No, these are all just on like Disney Plus. So if they chose to just take those off, then we'd be in the same situation. I don't know if they have or not. I have no idea. But yeah. Also, in terms of like this is a really random thing to compare it to, but Twitch streams. Do you consider Twitch streams art?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think I probably would, and not all equally again, but I mean, it is part of our culture. It is part of our community, and I think if it could be preserved in some meaningful way, I think it should be. But I know that's also a huge. I mean, the amount of content and hours of footage being generated every day on every minute on Twitch is just astronomical. So
yeah, that's obviously where I was going with that. Like, they're constantly they have VODs, but they only last like 30 days or something, and then they're deleted forever. But I think the
Twitch
user
is so stupid.
No, that's not. Don't quote me on that. I think that's something that the user can select whether to do.
I don't know much about Twitch, but I know on YouTube when you stream, like people can rewind all the way to the beginning of your stream.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's great,
and like it's so easy just to have your stream just be saved as a video, and they can watch it anytime. Like whereas Twitch, you have to like jump through hoops to.
You can't rewind on Twitch, right? That always bothered me back when I used to watch it.
It was
always
pissing me off.
The fuck out. I was like, I missed the first 10 minutes. Can I just go back?
Like you're talking about something that happened just like 30 seconds ago, and I can't just look back because apparently that doesn't exist.
To be fair, I think you can, but you have to go off the stream and then go to their Twitch channel, and then the stream that's currently on will show up as a VOD up to the live point.
Really?
Yeah, so that's
hoops to jump through, though.
That's hoops. It's just like a pain.
It's not intuitive at all.
No,
there should,
you don't just take the progress bar and just push it back. Which
is what YouTube does.
Why not?
Yeah.
I don't see why that isn't.
Anyway, if I can pull us back to Stop Killing Games quickly, because you know how I mentioned that Ross's video in the end of June, start of July went kind of viral and did really well. There's an external factor in there that not only led to the video doing extremely well, but it also probably was the reason for the petitions getting passed in the first place. And that's Pirate Software. Pirate Software, since the formation of the Stop Killing Games movement, he's been probably he's like the one of the very large streamer, and he's very outspoken for his contempt, his dislike for the Stop Killing Games movement, and he has been since the beginning. He made a couple of videos, 2 or 3 videos 10 months ago, crapping all over this movement with his own, his opinions as I think is he like an ex-game developer? I don't know. But
he is, yeah.
Yeah, but he gave his opinions. He
he used to work at Blizzard, by the way.
Oh, did he used to work for Blizzard? Yep. Okay.
He doesn't talk about it much.
Of course, I forgot. Yeah, sorry.
Just thought you should know.
How could I forget? But yeah, he's one of the most outspoken people about it. It was back in the day when it was a thing, and he gave his own opinions, which is completely fair. He was negative. Sometimes he was quite mean about it. Like we know Pirate Software. We spoke about him the other week. He has a way about him. The way he like speaks to people, and I don't know, the way he like talks about other people is kind of like weird. He's not always the most polite or respectful.
Very condescending.
Yeah,
I think.
So
he just has that air about him that he just feels like what he says is right, and there's no use arguing.
Yeah. So those videos back then, I didn't hear about any of that back then. That went straight over my head. But those videos have come back up now because, although I don't know if it's fair to say that it's his fault that the petitions weren't doing so well. I don't know. It's really hard to work out how much impact he would have had on the petitions. He definitely could have passed them if he was positive because he has that much of a reach. But whether he killed the program or whatever, I don't fucking know. But those videos now are being like picked through and dismantled because the time of the petitions is expiring, is coming to the threshold point. So people are going back to those videos and looking through and some of the arguments he made, some of the points he made, and at some point some of the misinformation as well. He didn't I don't know if it was out of bad faith or if it was simply out of just like ignorance, but he misrepresented a couple of things about it, which is a shame because, like I said, like no one else covering the topic had as much outreach as him. I think other people reacted to like Pirate Software's video talking about it, but I don't think many people really covered Stop Killing Games in the same way that he did. And like I said, especially back then, before everyone jumped on his fucking hate train, he was very, very, very popular. So that video got a lot of views, and he live streamed about it, and his streams have a lot of concurrent views all the time. So it was a massive shame, and some of the things, there's one argument he made that I think is actually, in my opinion, is valid. It's not good enough to like to make me kind of to make me believe that the initiative shouldn't go through. It's not good enough, but that's the fact that the petition is probably, the actual movement itself is probably a little bit too vague, because it's not very specific. It doesn't refer to any solutions. Like the petition, the movement itself doesn't actually provide any like, solutions, because there's a lot of different games out there and there's a lot of different scenarios. There's a lot of different situations that games would be in if they were forced to stay playable forever. And the petition is just kind of like games. Yeah, like games. They need to be playable forever. Like just all games, and they need to be playable forever. But the reason I do agree that it's vague is because that doesn't specify like to what degree do they need to be playable. Like, does it have to be the entire game, or does it have to be like a slice of the game, or is it just like the core code, or is it just single player modes and not, so like PvP? But does PvP have to be playable still in order for it to be considered legal, for example? Things like that, like just things like the logical questions that are gonna come up if this movement does go through. These questions are gonna come up, like, what do we have to do about that and this and that? Like, just little loopholes and inconsistencies depending on the genre of game we're talking about. I
think that's part of it.
Is that part of it?
I mean, there's no doubt it's vague, but I think that's not the point of it. The point is to make the topic come up and to bring attention to it and to focus on it, because it's the job of the government to make the laws about it and stuff. And the people are just trying to show that, what their opinion is on it. And I feel like it would hurt it if you made the petition very, very specific, because it might be too narrow. because then you'll have people going, okay, I support this, but this part right here about this, I don't know about. I feel like the whole point of it is to get the ball rolling, start something, and then work out the details later. Right now, you're just showing how much support you have for the cause, and that how many people care about it, and that it's not something that just a small percentage are worried about. This is a big issue. We need to focus on this, and then later you can hash out the details. You can work on it. They're not lawyers. They don't know about writing specifics, and like I said, even if they did, I think it'd be a negative if they were. So I do agree it's vague, but at the same time, I think that helps it more than hurts it.
That makes sense. Actually, I didn't think of it I didn't think of it that way. That does make sense. Yeah. What are you saying, Clyde?
I want to say, I think that's by design. I think this is an initiative that's meant not to be a comprehensive solution. It's meant to just move the needle. It's meant to draw attention to this issue and just get people looking at it and talking about it. And I just want to say, like,
I think Ross literally says that. I think that is, yeah. I think you're.
Yeah, it's really incredible to me that you have people like Pirate Software out there saying, "Oh, this petition really sucks because it's not a completely comprehensive solution to all of our problems." And it's like, well,
what a cop out.
Like, of course, yeah, what a cop out. It's like, no, of course this isn't a comprehensive solution to all of our problems. Like that's not the point of this petition. The point of this petition is just to get people talking about it, thinking about it, and sending a message to the broader gaming industry. It's not okay to, take away things that people have paid for. It's like, I don't know. It's wild to me. I mean, also anecdotally, and I'm really, really curious to hear your y'all's thoughts on this. Like, we've already seen, and this is something we'll probably talk about here in a minute, but we've already seen big companies pushing back against this initiative, right? Like, we've already seen big companies going, whoa, this isn't going to look great. This isn't going to be achievable for us. But just imagine how much more prickly EA would be if this initiative used FIFA as an example, right? Like if they went in being like, here's how we would propose, we would make FIFA 2026 much more robust for players. Like EA would lose their minds. They would be like, oh my God, they're coming for our microtransactions. So it's like, I think, I completely agree with what Peter's saying here. The vagueness is by design here. It is meant to be just a conversation starting point, and it is really sinister of Pirate Software to be like, I'm not going to support this because it doesn't fully flesh out every single solution for every single game. Well, screw you, dude. No, of course it's not going to be that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, you know what they call something that does actually specifically, detail every little part of it. It's a bill, and that's what they push. That's what they push to the legislation. They'll make a form of this and they'll vote on it and they'll work on it and they'll fix it and they'll tweak it. That's their job. That's not our job. Our job is to raise our hands and shout and say, "Hey, we want you to do something about this."
Yeah.
The more specific you get, the more divided the support becomes. And until it's at a point where you no longer have the support. Now you have this half which thinks that we should do it this way. And there's what we're doing, we're all banding together over a similar cause, right? And the specifics are really not as important as the fact that something is done.
Right.
Yeah,
the initiative
I
is
completely
called.
agree.
The initiative is titled "Stop Killing Video Games." It could just as easily have been titled "Save Our Art." I mean, save this art. This is art worth protecting and saving. And we don't have all the solutions and answers, but I want to, Sean, I want to dig into your brain a little bit because I want to say something. I don't normally like to wade into the waters of controversy, but let me do my best impersonation here. I'm going to say when it comes to Pirate Software and Thor. Oh man, I apologize if you have to edit this in post. You may not. Maybe you just want to get me totally raised.
Is this going to be British? Is that why?
No. I think that when it comes to Pirate Software, I honestly think this is just an ego thing, man. Like I think this guy's ego is out of control, and he's like, I didn't come up with this thing that everybody loves, so I hate it, and I'm gonna nitpick it into a million little pieces because I'm so angry. I don't know. You might have to cut all of my little unhinged rant out, but I do kind of get
honestly,
vibes from...
I mean, I do get that vibe a little bit. It's funny you say that because that's exactly.
I feel like just him in a nutshell, honestly.
Yeah, like
right. Yeah.
I feel like that's his thing about everything. Like the whole Roach incident, like absolutely admitted no wrongdoing. The worst he did is said, "Oh yeah, everyone made mistakes." Like that whole thing. He just doubled down.
Yeah.
Like the further you push, the more he resists. Like it's just complete narcissism right there. It's
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was actually something that he, really maybe he did support it, but someone. But like you said, it wasn't his idea, so he's just shitting all over it because
that kind of
his ideas are
sound
so great.
that does sound intriguing. I feel like he is that always right kind of guy. So if someone comes up with like an idea that everyone's getting behind, he would probably be the kind of person to be like, "No, I didn't. No, no."
Like there's undoubtedly. I would put money on it. There was people in chat who made very, very good counterpoints to his arguments, and he just brushed them off. I'm sure, just completely ignored them, or just called them names or some shit. Like that. That just seems so in line with how he treats anything against his opinions, right?
Yeah,
or they're not his opinions; they're facts.
He's got to have core fans that are like, "You go, Pirate Software. You should write a petition, and we'll support the right petition because this other petition is wrong." And it's like, okay, needless to say, guys, if y'all want a troll Christmas present for me this year, buy me a piece of Pirate Software merch. I'm not the biggest fan, so I will definitely be like, "Wow, I'm never wearing this T-shirt." But thanks, Sean and Peter. I love y'all. But yeah, I mean, I'm just speculating here, but all of his criticisms that I've seen are very nitpicky. They're very nothing burgers, and I'm like, dang, dude, like, we're trying to save art here. Like, either get on board or get out of the way, man. Like, what are you doing?
Not just just the industries. Like,
it's a bizarre thing to object against. It's a really bizarre thing to object against.
I mean, the companies going against it is just, of course, obviously they're gonna.
That makes sense.
Anything that costs them money or takes any sort of effort, they're gonna go against. But
like
just the fact that he's like parroting their same, and they're so bad. Like their reasoning. Like, let me go through them. One of them is that it's gonna be so expensive. Oh my god, it's just like
from the devs.
No, it's not. Like it's gonna be dirt cheap because all you're doing is you're just letting people replace your servers with whatever. Like, you already have the code there for your servers and stuff. You just get up, you're like, okay, here's the software that we use to run our servers. Now you have it, and you can run the servers. Like,
and
boom,
as Ross specifies,
it's already working. You're just giving someone else the keys.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. As Ross specified, the movement is not retroactive. He nails this down all the time. He's like, I'm not talking. Even games that are out like now. Like, ideally, yes, but this movement is mainly for games in the future, which means developers will have to have time to consider this and think, like, it's about having a plan. You have to have an end of life plan with full transparency, lots of notice, and if possible, ideally, always don't shut down the game. But that's the whole movement. It's in the name. It's not retroactive. It's not about causing people trouble. It's not about making things more expensive. It's just find a way. Like, come on, you're multi-billion-dollar companies. There's lots of smart people, lots and lots and lots of very, very smart. I really don't care about them. They probably don't even know their names. These board members, but there's lots of very smart people in there who can find a way to make games playable, even if they're live service.
Yeah, they're not in PR though, because these excuses they're giving are so absolute. Bull. Like we designed the game from the ground up to be online only. It's like, people aren't asking for single player. They just want, the game to keep running and for someone else to run it. Like they're like, oh, it's gonna cost us so much money to run these servers. It's like, no, people will run their own servers. Like, you don't have to do anything. You just let them. You just
let them. Yeah.
It's any reasoning I've heard is so just it doesn't have any sort of solid ground. What's another one? Oh yeah, hackers. Like, oh, we can't protect you from hackers and stuff like that.
That's the easiest fix of all time. That's the worst one of them all, because that's the worst one of them all.
Yeah, if hackers can get in, then it's your code, buddy. Like,
that's terrible.
How come they were fine? Hackers couldn't get in when you're running it, but now they'll magically be getting in because you don't have your magic spells casting over it. Bullshit. Like, we can't make a safe community for you people anymore. Oh yeah, you're doing such a good job with moderating it before.
And let's
You
say
know,
they
I-
let's say they hand over like the server binaries or however it works to other people, then it's not the developer's problem anymore anyway. So why do they care?
it's not even
if
their
hackers
problem
come in,
anymore.
it's
Yeah,
not your
they
you're
passed
not
it off.
doing it.
Like,
You passed it off. It's not your
what are
fucking
people
issue.
gonna do? Yeah, like
Yeah.
sue them for, you know? It's not. Yeah, it's not their game. It's
Out
like
of your hands,
I remember
completely
when
out of your hands.
Conan, what was it, Conan Exiles, or I forget what the sub name is. I remember there was a lot of people pissed off about hackers in that game and people exploiting and stuff. And when the saving grace was the private servers where people who were in charge of their servers, they would very very vehemently watch for these kind of things. And if you fucked up, if you did something shitty or shady that they didn't like, you're just off. You're off the server. You know,
Yeah.
it's like it's like GMs. You know, they didn't have any sort of GM system for the game, but once you have private servers, now you suddenly have people who are interested in keeping their server pristine. You know, you have these, and of course they're not paid. So, well, you know, most of them don't charge, but you have these people whose only interest is in their own server, and now, you know, you have someone who's helping them who obviously wouldn't be there if the service was running as before. So, if anything, the experience could be better. And then if you
Right.
consider how much
Yeah.
more modding you can do and
Yeah,
how
exactly. I
much more
didn't even mention that,
customization you
like,
can do,
the game
you
would
could increase
change.
the user experience. Yeah. There's just so much more that you can add to it when you're not being held back by, you know, people who don't want to change anything because it might cost money. It's like, well, these people are doing this for free now, and so and if they do pay money, it's their money, not your money. So
Bring
it's
it
just
to-
another
to-
BS excuse.
That's
right?
probably the worst one, because that's just
Yeah.
that's not their problem anyway. So why are we even talking about it in
Right.
the first place? And it's
Yeah,
just
it's just not.
it's just a non-issue. It really, like, if they gets
It
hacked,
is.
then it gets hacked. That's not, you know, that still complies with the movement. You know, they still did everything they had to do to keep the game alive. If it gets hacked, it gets hacked. Like, if it's unplayable because of hackers, that's different. That's like an attack on the game. That's
Right.
a different thing entirely. That's not the same thing.
I haven't heard one good reason against it. Right?
Yeah.
Like, not
I wanna-
one. They're
Peter,
so
I gotta go back to
flimsy.
something you said. There's something you
Yeah.
said that like I completely agree with. You know, like, we're seeing a situation where, like, the argument you just pointed out of like keeping gamers safe is like, you know, people like Thor and these companies are like, how will we protect gamers? How are we, if this initiative goes through, how are we going to protect people? And it's like the level of ridiculousness in that claim, in that statement, is so funny. Like, think about how many people work at EA or these huge game companies. Think about how many people at Blizzard are on staff whose their whole job is designing as many microtransactions and systems to squeeze people for as much money as possible out of battle passes, out of cosmetics, out of they have entire teams whose whole goal is just to psychologically manipulate players into spending as much money as possible. And they have the audacity to be like, we're trying to protect people. Our goal is to keep people safe. And it's
Yo,
like,
shut the fuck
bro,
up.
you have entire departments on monetizing children. Like, do not tell me
Really?
about keeping people
Really,
safe.
really,
like
really.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is some bullshit. Like,
And-
so excuse my language, that is some bullshit. Like, yeah, it also gives me. Have y'all seen the meme of like there's like a meme online that it comes up every now and then. It's like of like someone says something mean about Nintendo, and then like the bottom panel is like a fanboy jumping on it saying, "Don't say anything mean about the billion-dollar company."
with the knife.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. I get that vibe from people being like, they're trying to keep us safe. It's like, bruh, like, they're trying to keep us safe. Look up their staff list and see how many hundreds, maybe thousands of people they have globally working on monetizing children. Get out of here with that nonsense. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
It's
since
absolutely
since you
ridiculous.
mentioned monetization, that's another aspect of it entirely. So if you close down these live service games, you could potentially take thousands of someone's dollars away, like these whales. And when they made these purchases, there was no expiration. That's not a service. That's not a rental. They paid for these microtransactions the same way they paid for the game. But like,
even if you didn't, even if you didn't pay for a single microtransaction, you still paid for the game.
yeah,
And you know, the person who bought the game, pre-purchased the game, right, is in the same spot as the person who bought it the day before the service shut down. They paid the same amount. I mean, well, obviously there could be discounts or something, but they paid money for the game that they wanted to play, and they should get to play it. and if not, then they should be able to continue it themselves. I just don't see any reason that this wouldn't be, and I think that's great that there should be a law for it, because really they wouldn't do it unless they're forced. It's quite
No, they would
obvious
never. Well,
from
they're
their
already
resistance. There's
unhappy.
no way
Yeah.
they would
Yeah.
do this.
Yeah.
But it's great that some companies already did do it. And
Yeah.
I remember there
yeah.
was this game called Gigantic, and sorry to interrupt, but
No, go ahead.
it wasn't that popular. It was fun, but it wasn't that popular, and and it didn't shut down, but there was just so few people playing it that the queues just lasted like so
really?
long, incredibly long, like half hour plus.
So it's
it was
functionally
just
unplayable
at that point. Yeah. So I remember this group of people. They had this Discord they started up, and they rolled up their own private server. I have no idea where they got the code to run it, but they were able to run their own private server that they could, and they got people together. And once they had enough people in the Discord for a match, then they'd spin up the server and they'd run a game. And this happened for years afterwards, and it was a cool little community they had.
Nice.
And like, and this was without them getting the tools. Same with World of Warcraft. People loved Classic so much they found a way to run their own private servers that people could join and enjoy the game, and they loved it. It was so great. It was so popular, and it was so successful. Blizzard themselves couldn't ignore it, right? As much as they wanted to, and as much as they did, they really did. Oh boy, they they really didn't like it. But
Yeah.
and now, now they have to give into it.
Yeah.
So
in a weird way, I have this thought here, and I want y'all to be honest with me, your thoughts, because tell me, like Clyde, you're drinking too much Pepsi Zero over there. I feel like in a weird way, this initiative actually also protects the brand itself. Like, for example, think of a game like think of it like one of these games that got taken offline forever, never to come back. The one that my brain is currently spitting out is WildStar. A lot of WoW devs went off and made WildStar, this really great MMO. A lot of people liked it. It came and went in the flash of a pan. Incredible art, really fun gameplay, but it didn't succeed. And by just hitting the delete button on WildStar and just that studio being like, well, it's gone forever, bye. By deleting that, you basically condemn that IP to doom forever. It can never, ever come back because the studio has just thrown it in the trash can and it's gone forever. However, if there is some way of preserving it or keeping some form of it offline or letting people be able to play it, that kind of bakes in the chance of that franchise coming back someday. It kind of bakes in the chance that people will discover it years later, and it can have a moment 10 years, 20 years later. People go, whoa, there should be a revival of this. But that moment can't happen if the whole thing has been deleted forever from the internet. And I think in some weird way, this movement also protects the brand itself. It protects the game itself at a time when many publishers or many game developers are just tempted to go, we can save an extra $5K a year by deleting the servers, delete it, move on. It actually, in a weird way, this also protects the games. I don't know. I feel very strongly this is a good movement and a good thing, and we should be moving the needle on this. And again,
so
I really wish I lived there. Yeah.
To clarify, you're talking about the fact that just money aside, money aside, you're talking about not like we talked about art before, but you're specifically saying like the actual franchise, like the franchises, the IPs themselves. That's what you're talking about, saving them.
Yeah,
keeping them alive in some sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And keeping them discoverable in some sense, or keeping people,
discoverable's a good point.
Yeah, it's like if you delete Anthem forever, then we know no one else is ever going to discover Anthem. But maybe in 10 years, 20 years, someone finds Anthem and they go, this shit is really cool. Why don't we like start talking about it and share it with their server? And then people start playing it again. And it's like, I think discoverability is something that's kind of baked into this it's baked into preservation. But yeah, it bums me out that there's so many studios these days going, all that work we put into it, or I guess all that work that those people we paid put into it, just delete the whole thing. It really bums me out.
Exactly. Just like Concord. And like, okay, hear me out.
Jesus Christ.
but like Concord, like it was, what was that, like less than 2 weeks, and they just pulled it and it's gone.
So
Like,
can I interject very quickly? Because when I got onto the controversy of this after it had already shut down, and I was watching people playing it with B-roll in the background, I genuinely had moments where I was like, don't dislike, listener. I had moments where I was like, I kind of want to play that. That looks. I was like,
let's go.
I was like, that looked kind of like, I don't know. I feel like I'd go on it for like an hour and like, while the skill-based matchmaking is still easy, and then have some fun.
Yeah, that's what I thought when I saw some of the previews for it, and then I played the beta or whatever, and we're like, what is this?
Yeah.
And my opinion is, it was just too plain, too samey, doesn't bring anything to the table, right? Like,
I'm not saying
we could nitpick it forever and stuff, but
I'm not defending it. I'm just based off looks.
Yeah.
I just mean like I like trying new stuff.
I won't disagree that it was bad, but just the fact that they can take something like that and literally just pull it and wipe it, like, because here's the thing: there's people who genuinely like that game, and they just wanted to play it, and they paid for it, and they should have been able to play it, like. They would have if they had the ability to host private servers. They'd be playing it right now.
Keep the client live and just let people.
Doesn't matter if it's just like a couple hundred people. Doesn't matter if it's just 10 people. There should be an ability to continue to play a game. I remember there was a lot of games back in the day. That had like IPX networking and stuff like that. Like so many games had like local networking, and so you didn't need a server. They just had it built in, and so it seems like, and eventually now it started moving to it's online required, online only, yada yada, and like it's been done. It's not like it can't be done. And there's so many ways to do it that it just seems like such a poor excuse that this is impossible, what are you so, and a lot of times this is what keeps them going, like right. Clyde said, it's and it's not just the game that it keeps going, it's also the goodwill of the company, because when you see them pull a game like that, even if it's terrible, even if it's Concord, it kind of deserves to be pulled for how terrible it is, right? Like now you lose goodwill from your customers because people will see that if they buy a game from you, there's a chance that it can just disappear because you're not making as much money as you wanted to from it. Remember when they made games just for fun, and if they weren't successful, then whatever, we made a game, we had fun, people who played it have fun. Now there's just so much interest in the money.
Companies used to be happy for like the community of players. Like even if it was very small, they'd be like, "Oh, you like the game? Like talk to me. Let's even like let's play it together. Let's like talk about the game."
Yeah, they used to have a focus like what's fun? How do we make this fun? Instead, it's like, what's profitable? How can we get people to play this so they want to buy the microtransactions or whatever, right? And so that's definitely shifted, and obviously the microtransactions. Oh, I could go on that, but
really quick, I have to say, and y'all are gonna hate me because I'm about to bring us. I want to bring you into my world for a moment.
This is what Clyde says every time before he hits us with like the coldest take of all time. Go ahead.
Coldest take of all. Oh no! I'm gonna tell you. While you were describing like all this like love and care that goes into these games, Peter, I was thinking about like an SNL sketch. So like, okay, hear me out. Like, okay, a SNL sketch. We open on a young child at home. Could be a little boy, could be a little girl, and they're asking their mom by their bedside, "Mommy, where's Daddy?" And the mom says, and meanwhile, Sean's like, "What the fuck are we?" Sean's like, "Where are we going with this?" They go, "Mommy, where's Daddy?" And Mommy says, "Oh, honey, your dad's working on a very important video game. I know we haven't seen them in 6 months. They work 12-hour days.
Sleep in the office.
Don't worry. They're working on a really important video game." And the kid says, "But mommy, I want to like Daddy didn't come to my school play yesterday. I know Daddy's not here right now, but Daddy's working really hard on this video game. You'll always be able to play this game when it comes out, and you'll see Daddy in that game when it comes out." And the final shot is the kid asking the mom, what's the name of Daddy's game? And the mom says Concord, and then it's like cuts of black, cuts of black. There you go. That's my whole like warped ass world. There we just, sorry, we had to go down that.
Well, I mean,
rabbit hole.
I am glad you mentioned that aspect actually, because I didn't want to talk about that. Just the fact that, because we're all sympathetic for the players, but I have deep sympathy for the artists behind these games as well. Especially in the case of Concord. Concord, I hate the art style in that game. It looks ridiculous. But like the graphical fidelity in that game, I remember watching some of the videos and being like, whoa, that game looks fucking good. Like it genuinely did. That game graphically had they did something very right with that game. It looked, sometimes you'd catch it at certain angles and it looked like real life. Obviously, aside from it being like extremely over the top artistic and colorful, but like some of the lighting and stuff in that game was fucking like ridiculous. I remember being in Discord with my friend and I was like, wait, this game looks fucking like someone cooked, like someone somewhere in Sony Studios cooked with the engine and the graphics, and apparently it ran well as well and things like that.
The graphics weren't bad, but unfortunately it was one of the few things that wasn't.
It was one of the diminishingly few things that was okay with
but
the game.
Still, there was so many people who worked on so many different aspects.
Someone worked on
like the people who were working on sound and the textures and the models, and like a lot of these people weren't involved with the overall planning for the character design or the gameplay elements. There's so many people who worked on that game who had nothing to do with some of the most terrible things about it, right? And like these, now they won't be able to like show this off, like they had to throw their portfolio of this game in the trash because now it's poison apparently, because it's just I can't think of any game in the history of games that got pulled so quickly after being put out. Like 2 weeks, was that?
Dude, it was
Peter,
2 weeks.
as a fellow YouTuber, you know how painful it is when you spend like a month on a video and you're like, oh, I can't air this can't go out, I don't like it, the quality's not there. Magnify that pain to an order of magnitude higher. Imagine spending 7 years of your life on something, missing so many family events, missing kids events, and then like some executive decides, we just deleted the whole thing. like, oh yeah. I mean, I get salty losing a month of my time from a YouTube video. I can only imagine how salty I would be if I worked on Concord for 8 years, missing all my kids' birthdays, and then and then they just I would lose my mind.
And that goes both ways too, because you have the people who like you said, who were very self-conscious about it, and they put a lot into it, but they weren't too sure about it, and they were kind of waiting to see how it got received, and they were really anxious about it, and like there's the other people who are just fully confident that just like, oh, this is great, I'm so proud of my work, like I can't wait to show off like how amazing, like look at this lighting, like this is so awesome, and then it comes out, now it's crap, and now both these guys just feel like shit, like the guy who was nervous the whole time, now he's just a wreck. And the dude who felt good about it, now he's just, had his little bubble popped and he's just completely lost. And and like I said, a lot of these people didn't do the specifically bad things about it. And really, I think we can blame a lot for Sony, because like they had, and for sure, I can't prove it, but I'm pretty sure that Sony executives had a lot, to do with a lot of the terrible decisions, because it's just a common trend that like developers aren't just left to their own whims. They have the suits come in every now and then, tell them, this is what we want you to do. We want you to do this way, and we think this would get more customers, more money if we blow, blah 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 blah, and so they definitely had a lot of meddling from Sony, which is it goes back to the whole the goodwill of the company thing. Like people will see this as not Concord failing; they'll see it as Sony failing. And they should, rightly so.
And but the thing with Concord is like I exist as living proof. Not that it like had a chance, because I don't think it ever, like in terms of like being big and profitable, it never was going to. It had like hundreds of players on Steam days after releasing, but which is insane to this day still. But like I exist as living proof that like people, some number of people, whether it's so small, like whether it's a handful of people, could have found some value from a game like I almost called it Valorant from a game like Concord, because like I said, like
Yeah.
if that game like went free to play, because like I said, so some of the videos that I looked at, I was like,
Yeah,
this doesn't
more
look
people would have
good.
played it.
I was like, this
One of
doesn't
the
look good, but
big
like
points against it
I'd
was
play
it
it.
charged too much money.
Well, it's
Right.
competing with like Overwatch 2, which is free. It's bizarre.
It's competition where like free to play or extremely cheap.
Extremely cheap,
That's one of the reasons it failed. If it went free to play, it definitely have more people.
Yeah, and like if it went free to play, I would have tried it, because I still, like I said, some of the videos sometimes I was like, this looks bad, but like I could download this for an hour and just like get a few kills. Like I would, I would have done that on Concord.
Yeah, and that would have been the power move, you know, like be free to play, and like the terrible costumes they have, those are the defaults. The good ones, they're all in the store, right?
They're in the store.
It's like the Marvel Rivals one. They don't
like
give
that.
the characters the most notable costumes. They give them like kind of this strange offshoot, but all the real good ones, they're all in the store. You know, like that was absolutely brilliant. You know, like I hate it,
but I love it.
It was a brilliant move.
Yeah,
but I think you're right, Sean. We can't discount the people who like it, because like games are art, and you know, like even if 99.9% of the population thinks it's shit, there's still that 0.1% that likes it, that enjoys it, and they're not wrong, you know, because it's art. It's all, you know, opinion, right? I mean, beauty is the eye of the beholder and all that, you know, whatever.
It's also, we need to emphasize, like, this initiative, Stop Killing Games, isn't about burdening developers with permanent recurring fees for all of time. Like, this is not like something they're going to have to pay for in perpetuity. You know, this is like some amount of development cost on figuring out a way to make the game playable offline or
this
local
was part
co-op.
of Pirate Software's terrible points, because we got sidetracked, but I talked about the fact that I kind of understood a little bit the vague part, but then YouTube kind of changed my mind on that, because it makes sense and it's by design, like you said. So, but is one of Pirate Software's other points, like I said, he's one of the most outspoken people about this. He's the most outspoken, easily, like in terms of numbers and just his how vitriolic he is. He's definitely the most outspoken person. And one of his points was that, you know, if you have to support live service games forever, then no one will make live service games. But that's a complete straw man. That's not stated in the movement anywhere. The opposite is stated. Ross made it abundantly clear. He wrote it down as one of his main bullet points, that live service games don't have to be supported forever.
That's the whole point of the movement. You can even say is that they don't. Is that they're not
doing it.
Running it. They're handing it off.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the opposite of stopping. You know, what would be them just force them to continue running it. No, it's letting people be able to run it on their own terms, right? I mean, and the thing is, they act like it's impossible, like it can't be done. And like here we are, there's so many examples of like I just gave you, you know, that of people doing this and it being done, and companies doing it, and people finding a way, even when companies don't want it to be done, people will find a way around it, because A, it's possible, and B, they love it enough that they're able to put in the time to do that, you know?
If they want to, they will. It's simple as that. If they want to, they will.
Yep.
Really.
Yep.
It's
that
will. Simple.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If they can do it in a basement somewhere, the multi-billion-dollar studios
studios.
They're squeezing kids for microtransactions. They can allocate an extra 10K or 100K or whatever to make an offline version of client available. They can find a way to do it.
And like I said again, I don't see it costing money, you know, like to make it offline, because like they have whatever they're running on their servers, right? Like they just need to take that software and just give people access to it, you know? Like the software to run the servers is already there. They have it. That's what they were running the servers. Like it just doesn't make sense the way. I mean, obviously I see where they're coming from, just trying to kill it with whatever bullshit they can throw at it, but it really isn't as complicated as that. And what a cop out.
I have yet to hear a good argument against it, and you know, if I hear one, I will let y'all know. But
yeah, let me know. I'll shoot it down.
I know, right? I'm right there with you.
Yeah, but that live service one is just like, makes me angry when I hear it. It makes me unreasonably angry when I hear it, because I'm like, that's not what it means. That's not what it means.
And they
that's
say
not the
and they
point.
say
That
the
doesn't
live
matter.
service ones. Yeah, they say the live service ones will be the hardest because they're supposed to be online. It's like no. If anything, it'll be. It's already done, right? So I don't get that one.
Yeah.
Just because you stop adding updates to a live service game doesn't mean you've killed the game. Like it's such a weird, it's such a strange like crossing of wires with like how some people have interpreted this rather.
Yeah.
Like just because it stops getting updates, you can.
Yeah.
That's still the game. Like just that's fine. That's not the end of the game. You can still just stop adding updates. Make the game, hand over whatever you need to hand over to like a modder or someone else.
And they're like, oh, we designed it to be online. It's like, that's right. And that's why people want to play it online more, because that's what it was designed to do. They don't want you to make a single player version of it and shit. They just want to be able to play.
That's another one of
other.
Pirate Software's weird points. He said that Pirate Software claimed that the movement is asking that all like all online games like should be made single player in some way. That's another one of his
straight
points.
up propaganda, man.
These things, this comes across like he's an industry plant. This is where the industry plant
conspiracy theories come from.
It does.
You know what I know of him was that he's like he runs his own developer. Or he's developing his own game, right? He's been working
he should
on it
know.
For
if anything,
years. So
he should know.
If anything, he should be more sympathetic to the small guy. But it's just so weird that his takes. Yeah, it's.
I know I have a few viewers and listeners, like friends and family and stuff. Obviously in the UK, so I will leave like the UK and I guess the EU one as well, just in case. We're not in the EU, we're not allowed to vote for that. But I'll leave both petitions in the description if you want. You should definitely go and do that if you agree with everything we said in the last like hour and 15 minutes. Obviously, if you don't,
still going.
I believe they close at the end of July, so yeah, they'll be going for a while. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
or at least not. Maybe I don't know if it's the end of July, but they're not closed yet.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So if you're in the UK and you do agree with what we've been talking about with the preservation of game, preservation of art, and the idea of companies not stealing money illegally, then go and sign the petition.
I'm nuzzling the screenshot.
What the fuck? Bro's having private time with Pirate Software.
Who's a good little roach? You're a good little roach. You are. You run from any sign of danger. Yes, you do. Just a little Freddy cat.
Anyway, Xbox. Big P Spencer, Big Phil Spencer. He's made headlines this week. Clyde, I know you got some thoughts about this. At least I think you do. You told me before show. But
I do.
Xbox / Microsoft / Phil Spencer have gone on a layoff and cancellation spree. I thought Peter like fell out or like just like fell to like on the side of his desk. He just moved the camera back. And anyway,
it's my cat knocking it over because he's just going around bonkers. Crazy.
Anyway, so Xbox cancelled a ton of things and laid off a ton of people. Very, very, very big news. Also, genuinely kind of sad. Looking at some of these cancellations. I'll list off the cancellation. I don't know if I missed any. I just looked at like these are the ones that were listed in an article that I read. So games that were cancelled was first off, and like most importantly for me, I think, of the things on this list was the Perfect Dark remake, which had a really cool trailer. I think it's rumored that the trailer is like completely fake, as in like not real gameplay. But even if it is, if that trailer was meant to represent the vision for the game, first off, I don't agree with like CGI faking gameplay. I'm just putting that out there. I don't agree with that. I think that's a bad decision if that's true. But if that was a vision for how that remaster was supposed to look, that looked cool as fuck. That's genuinely one of the more notable things that I remember from Xbox of recent years, trailer wise. Anyway, so seeing that got cancelled, I was shocked because I was like, even from a business perspective, it doesn't really make much sense because remakes and remasters are really in right now, and Perfect Dark seems like the perfect, no pun intended, perfect candidate to come back in a remake of that style. I'm very surprised it got cancelled. There's that, and then Forza Motorsports in general, because Forza, but like on it, they have a. I don't know. Do either of you know about Forza? I don't know if it's that popular.
I know of it. I'm
Yeah.
not big on racing games,
So
but
I like Forza.
it's got to
I
be
like
one of the top ones I hear about.
Yeah, I like the Forza Horizon games, which is like the open world, like custom cars version. Forza Motorsports is specifically like competition racing. Um, so Forza Motorsports, the competition racing side, is completely cancelled. They're never going to release those games again, and instead the studio got cut by 50%. So presumably the people working on Forza Motorsports mainly laid off, and they are now only going to release Forza Horizon games in the future. I assume because they make way more money. At least they're the only ones that I see people playing. So I assume that's the case. I do know some people who are fans of motorsports though. Some couple of my friends that are really into got like the full racing setup, really into the racing. There was a new MMO in development. I think it was only existed under a code name, but a new MMO from the Elder Scrolls Online people. They were making an entire new game. Well, they're not anymore. It's been cancelled.
I heard someone say that Phil Spencer himself was playing the MMO, and they had to rip the controller from him because he just couldn't peel himself away from it. He was enjoying it that much.
What?
And it got canceled. Like, wow. It makes me wonder. Like, and this is going to be scrutinized so much. This point onward, we're seeing from this point on. After we're seeing that these franchises, Perfect Dark, Forza, and I don't know what the MMO was, but Elder Scrolls related. You know, these, and a time when Hollywood, you know, is pulling out sequels from every crevice they can because. Yeah. You know, a recognizable name is worth so much more than something random. Like these are actual series. You know, these are guaranteed to get some sort of player base already, right? I mean, they're and I'm someone who thinks, you know, the sequel stuff is really shit and it's low effort and it's, you know, it's harming the industry. But even so, like at a time when they're doing it so much that to dump these series, people are going to scrutinize what comes out after this point, and they're going to say, "Wait, you canceled Forza for this?
For this,
right?
Yeah.
Like you couldn't keep development on you know this game just because." Or like Perfect Dark, you know, it was so huge, like such a big following, like such a cherished memory for so many people, and you dodged Perfect Dark for this because it's gonna pop up. They're gonna release some stinkers.
That is a good question, though. Genuinely, like,
I guarantee you, right? They're working on them right now. They're shifting their resources onto them. They're gonna come out, and people are gonna be like, "Why wasn't this the thing that was canceled?" Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm Sony and Concord, like. I remember they canceled like one or two things for that, didn't they? I forget what it was, but I remember they actually had some series that they were pulling up from the bowels of hell, you know, that hadn't had a sequel in forever, and it got canned because they were putting so many resources into this game, and now it's gone just because, you know, they wanted to save some money and well, now they just wasted it. And I feel like it's just history repeating itself at this point, right?
Yeah. You mentioned that Phil Spencer had to get peeled away from the new ESO game, or the new game from those developers. Related to that, I saw a really funny tweet. Well, it is funny, but it's funny in a sadistic way because obviously these layoffs aren't really funny. It's people's lives potentially being damaged. But at the time of announcing the layoffs at the time that it was announced that some of the Indiana Jones, which is just crazy, by the way, some of the Indiana Jones developers were laid off. At the time of that announcement, that motherfucker Phil Spencer was playing Indiana Jones on his Xbox account. That's hilarious. It's hilarious, but it's fucked up. And I saw some comments that were like, bros checking the credits to make sure he didn't miss anyone.
Oh, that is a good comment.
That's good. That's really good.
Made that comment. That is snaps. That is a good ass comment, bro. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't know.
Leave it to the internet come with the best fucking takes. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I don't know if he was actually playing that or if it was like probably his kids or something. I don't fucking know. But either way, that was unintentionally funny. Yeah. I think I mentioned all the cancellation. I don't know who Romero Games is. I don't know if that's a known studio or not. I just wrote it down. I didn't research it. Forgive me.
John Romero?
No, not John Romero. I don't think so. Anyway, I don't know if it's anyway. There's a studio called Romero Games, and they were making an FPS game for Xbox, and it got canned. In terms of layoffs, so the initiative obviously they're completely closed. That was the people who were developing the Perfect Dark remake. Halo Studios lays off. No surprise there. Microsoft have been trying to phase Halo out of the limelight for a long time now. So that's continuation of that. Turn 10, Forza cut by 50%, as I mentioned before. ZeniMax, which is the Elder Scrolls Online company, laid off, obviously. Raven, High Moon, and Sledgehammer are all the COD kind of floater developers. They kind of work on all of the Call of Duty games. So they all got struck with major layoffs. Also, Blizzard, apparently the Warcraft Rumble, which is a mobile game, ended support and they were all laid off. So there's that as well. That's everything I have noted down, but that's a lot of people. This amounts to a lot of people losing jobs. Clyde, do you have burning thoughts? I can't tell if you're really angry or really depressed over there.
Oh no, I'm extremely seethingly angry.
Oh my goodness.
I am just, first of all, I mean, we have to just establish the context for these layoffs. This is the fourth major mass layoffs at Xbox in the last year and a half. There have been four in the last year and a half alone. There have been 4 rounds of mass layoffs at Xbox. Okay, so that's just the context of where we're going. And never is Xbox laying off the executives, the people making 10, 20, 30 million dollars a year. They're laying off the fucking people that are making these games that are the lowest on the totem pole, and that have they're not the people deciding these things that are making games good or bad anyway. So it's to say that there are flames coming out of the side of my face is an understatement. I am so angry at the situation, and it's like Phil Spencer has had the audacity to come out this week and issue statements like, we think this is going to be for the good of the games industry, and this is good for the future of Xbox, and we have so many great games we're so excited to show off. And it's like, damn, dude, you just laid off thousands of people, a track record of laying off potentially thousands and thousands of more over the last year and a half, and you have the audacity to come out and tell people this is for the good of the games industry, and AI tools are helping advance the games industry. It makes me sick to my stomach, man. It makes my blood boil. It makes my tummy hurt. It makes my tummy's grumbling, and I'm not happy about it. And it blows my mind. I want to link an article on this topic. I'm not moving topics or anything, you can put this. I'll leave this in the comment, or you can leave this in the description. I saw an article this week that I completely nodded my head to, which was it was from a site called Aftermath. The article's by Luke Plunkett, and the title is just, has Xbox considered laying off one person instead of thousands? And they're just basically saying, why are we paying these executives millions and millions of dollars a year? Why is Phil Spencer making 10 million in salary? And that's pre-bonuses and all these other things. It's like, why are we laying off thousands of people that are actually making games, and we're watching these studios pay these people absorbent amounts of money? I'll leave it in our Discord.
Yes.
I feel free to attach this, because that's exactly how I feel. It's like the people paying for these decisions aren't the ones that are even at fault, and it makes me angry. It makes me very, very angry.
Yeah. When's the last time you heard about a video game executive taking a dock in his pay to keep the company going? I think I may have heard it like once. I don't know if it was like Nintendo or something.
Right.
But one company did that once, and it was just shocking that they did it, and people loved it. But yeah, most of the time it's like you said, the executives, the people who actually made the decision to even start the development on this game in the first place, they aren't taking any of the blame, and the people who are working on it, are the ones who suffer. And I know it's sort of a sunken cost fallacy, but like these games, when you just stop the production, there's all this work that's been put into it, and then you're just canceling it out. It's nothing comes of it, right? Like it's just gone. It never gets completed. Like 99% of the time, it's just lost to time. And like, how much more would it take just to complete it? And then the money hungry executive, you get to make your money because it gets to it gets to actually get out there and get bought. How terrible is it that that you got these games that are actually good, and they will sell and they will make money. You can recoup some of that money back, but instead you're just dumping it all. You're completely just abandoning it, and you're wasting your own money doing that.
It's just insane. We've seen this again and again in the industry where big publishers go to development studios and they either tell them you got to change it, or we're not going to fund you, or we're not going to do it. The biggest one from this generation is Dark Souls, right? Like Dark Souls was incredibly difficult, and Sony went to them very early in their development cycle and said, "This game's way too hard. No one will want to play this. No one will want to adopt this." And lo and behold, FromSoft proved them wrong. They proved the world wrong, but only because they had enough faith to bankroll themselves and get that game to production and get it in the hands of gamers. But nowadays, we have companies that are at the top, these executives that are at the top, making these huge decisions. And what's really frustrating to me, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this, Sean, in the circles that I bounce around in gaming circles like Discord and Reddit, and I, more often than I'd like to admit, I bump into people who tell me or say things like, well, maybe those developers deserved it. Maybe they weren't making a great game. Maybe they deserved it. It's like what? It's like they think somehow these people get it in their heads that Phil Spencer is totally worth $10 million a year. He's worth $100,000 to poop on his toilet every hour of the day. And yet these people that are pouring their guts out making games somehow invited woe upon themselves by not, I don't know, having enough jiggle physics in their games or something. I don't know. It blows my mind. It makes me angry that there are people out on the internet defending billion-dollar corporations doing horrible things and laying people off and destroying people's livelihoods. And they're going, yeah, man, they should just made a better game. And it's like, damn, dude, you are so blue-pilled. I run into so many blue-pilled people on the internet that are simping.
I mean, without having seen the final or like played the final product, I don't know how you can make that. I don't know why you would even say that. It doesn't make any sense. But also, even if it's like, this is exactly what we just talked about before in regards to stop killing games. So kind of, this is obviously related. I didn't even realize it would be so related, but obviously it is with cancellations. We're talking about the exact same thing, obviously. But whether we like it or not, or whether Phil Spencer liked it or not, or whether the Xbox executives liked it or not, like they were making art, and especially with Perfect Dark, where I think the trailer looked really cool. It's so sad that the people spent so much time at like blood, sweat, and tears on it, and it's not going to see the light of day. It's genuinely upsetting. It really is.
Yeah. And it's sick that the people that are making these cancellations are totally divorced from the games themselves. Like, imagine if you're at your job, right? You're doing your job. You're focused on your day-to-day things. And someone that, some publisher that bankrolls your company comes in someday and goes, we don't like what you're doing, so you're fired and you're let go and you get a severance package and this whole thing is canceled. And it's like, you're not even here. Like, you're not even on the ground. You don't know me. You don't know what we're making, and you don't even care about what we're making. It's like, it's just insane to me that these publishers can just, I understand they're footing the bill for a lot of these development costs, and that is a valid problem, that modern game development is way too high. The development cost of games is way too high, but the fault of that does not lie in the artists and the writers and the coders. It is not their fault that studios are mismanaged, or they haven't done their research to see what will sell in the market, or that their number on the graph isn't going up in the exact right way at the exact right time. And it blows my mind. It blows my mind there are people out there going, ah, man, they deserve. It's a serious lack of empathy. It's like a serious lack in human empathy. I'm like, just imagine if someone came into your job that doesn't know jack shit about what you do and just decided to start laying off swaths of people. Like, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's mind blowing. It's mind blowing to me.
Yeah.
I mean, remember when studios could make games that weren't successful and they weren't afraid
it just wasn't a big deal. It wasn't like
they just went on to the next game.
Just went on to the next game, yeah.
And how many games were there that came out that the developers were like, this probably won't be that good, so whatever. And it comes out and it's amazing, and it shocks them, and was it Balatro, the poker style game that's just exploded? It was just some dude who was just like made a game in his free time, and like he was just making it. He just finished it just so he can move on to make the next game. Like he was just doing it. He didn't expect anything from it. It was just a little project he did, and he was completely shocked by how well it worked. I feel like it's just that, but on a larger scale. Like, you don't even know how well some of these will work until they actually get out, right? So it's like they're just not willing to take any risk anymore, and it goes back to the whole thing where like kind of like Hollywood has to pull out the sequels now because they don't want to take risks on new IPs or anything, and like now game companies they see anything wrong with it and it's just yawn and.
Yeah. I want to say, Peter, because you just mentioned this, like your point of like how game studios used to be able to recover from a fall, and now that with game costs being what they are, that is not the reality we live in. I want to say I'm a huge fan. I don't know. Have either of y'all played Dishonored? Do y'all know the game's Dishonored? It's like a teleporty stealth. Okay, I love Dishonored. I'm a huge Dishonored fan. I love Dishonored 1. I love Dishonored 2. I love Death of the Outsider. Dishonored 2 and Death of the Outsider did not sell very well. They were not huge commercial successes. And that franchise is kind of in a cooler right now. But Arcane Studios, they've released some games that have been hits and misses, but we're now in a situation where if I ever want for there to be a Dishonored 3 someday, I have to root for all of their projects, whether or not I care about them, because one misstep can be fatal. Like, they're working on a Blade game right now. Goodness knows how much money they've sunk into this Blade game. It is a ton of money. I'm sure just in licensing, it's probably a crazy amount of money. I don't care about Blade. I'm not all into that vampires unless it's Twilight. I'm not there. So, like, but I am in the background rooting for Blade. I'm like, go, Blade, go, be successful, and then make Dishonored 3. That is my only hope of getting Dishonored 3 at this point. And it's warped. It sucks, these kinds of studio domino effects falling down. It's painful to see, and it puts the gamers in a weird position where we have to root for weird things that we wouldn't normally want to root for, and it just sucks watching people lose their jobs.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up Dark Souls, and that's a very good example. Dark Souls, pretty successful game, and then what happened after it? Dark Souls 2, not exactly that good. I don't know what its sales were, but I know for a fact that the community doesn't really like that much, and I agree, it was very weak. But without Dark Souls 2, we wouldn't have Dark Souls 3. Without Dark Souls 3, we wouldn't have Elden Ring.
And guess what? Dark Souls 2 has a thriving community of players who love it because they released it,
right.
And because they didn't, and because it still exists, and it still has multiplayer support.
Yeah, I know people who exist who are real who actually like Dark Souls 2. So
I know many.
True
it's
story,
like that's a game that always has like a little second win. I always see tweets like, "Oh, most underrated game of all time." I hate it. I'm not gonna lie. I've completed it. I think twice. I really, really don't like Dark Souls 2.
What if I told you one of them's in this voice call?
No,
I like
God.
But
no, we already talked about this.
Shout out to Glass Knight, amazing boss. The Glass Knight, a freaking amazing boss. Google Glass Knight.
Which one's Glass Knight?
He's armor is all glass. He has a giant glass mirror shield.
Isn't he called Mirror Knight? What's he called? I don't know.
It might be called Mirror Knight, but like periodically throughout the fight, he'll summon PvP people to come through and fight.
Yeah, I know.
He'll be summoned to help the.
Yeah, that's just really cool. Dark Souls 2 got loads of cool stuff. And Burnt Ivory King, holy shit! Is that DLC? That might be DLC, but like, holy shit!
It might be DLC.
That's
Fume
that's
Knight.
So cool. Fume Knight's like Fume Knight, like his things came back in Dark Souls 3 because they were so cool. Fume Ultra Greatsword.
But yes, that is the point we were making earlier, which is like if they had just pulled that offline because it was a flop, then no one would have, the franchise would have died then and there. And that's now where Dishonored is at. Is like, man, I really want more steampunk teleporting.
Can you imagine? Yeah, if they pulled Dark Souls 2 and it was just dead right there. That was the last thing we have to remember it of. Like
that'd be horrible.
Yeah.
The worst timeline objectively. Well, honestly, sadly, there were probably Dark Souls 2s that were canceled the last year and a half at Microsoft. There was that studio's Dark Souls 2 that will now never see the light of day because some
undoubtedly.
Xbox has said, oh, they're not profitable enough, or they're not including enough microtransactions in their roadmap, so screw it. Like, well, damn, dude, you're not even looking at the game.
That's how I feel about Perfect Dark. Like, we almost had the timeline where people are like sitting down playing a remake of a classic, like, like young people like discovering that franchise, and that future just got snapped by Thanos. Like, that future is dust, is gone. But yeah. I saw actually some of the
like. What if the company who made Concord went on to make like this actually amazing game after it? What if Concord 2 was actually like one of the best games ever, man. Like, holy crap. We needed to suffer through Concord 1 to get to the real good stuff. They needed to find out what didn't work to know what to fix it. Like I mean, that applies to a lot of stuff, but really
Yeah.
just I think the main thing is like you can't learn from it if you just wipe it from existence, you know? You
Right.
can't find out whether, this would have worked or that would have worked or how this would have actually went through. Instead you're just relying on some executive with a pen stroke who's like, I
Yeah.
don't really like this one as much as this one, so you're gone.
Yeah.
Like
It's
I
it's
really
funny.
feel like,
Yeah.
yeah,
In the world of tech, we see this all the time. Like think of every major platform you can think of, like from Reddit to Wikipedia, Facebook. All of the people who made those made shittier versions of those that didn't succeed, but they
yeah.
learned from the shittier versions. They learned what didn't work in the
Oh,
original
oh, I
Wikipedia.
got, I got I got a great one.
Hmm.
I was seeing some random YouTube video, and it was talking about this game company who just made these terrible, terrible mobile games. You had like, I don't know if it was called like a fart simulator or something like that. Like really
Bro, what kind of
garbage,
games are you
trash,
searching on the App Store?
shovelware.
What the fuck?
Really, really shit. And it was a list of it. It was the same company. It was just list after list of list of
Yo,
like
that game
you could just tell
stinks.
from the names. You could just tell from the names. The games were absolute
Boo.
trash. And then you get to the bottom, and then you start getting to the bottom of the list, and then it's Five Nights at Freddy's, and like that was it.
That was
That was
it.
the game
That
that
was
put them
it.
on the radar. That's all
Right.
they needed. And then from there, it was just boom. They just wrote it out.
Isn't that
and,
Scott
and now,
Cawthon? Is that his name?
I don't know. I don't know the
Sorry,
company name. I don't
my
know the
Five
guy's
Nights
name.
at Freddy's lore phase almost reappeared from when I was like 13. Sorry, let's calm down.
I don't. Yeah, I don't recall if I even ever played the game, but
I never played any
I've
of the
seen
games.
people play it. I know of it, but just the fact that like they made so many bad games just to get that good game in, and it's because they just didn't know what stuck
Yeah,
until they
exactly.
did it, and they were just focused on the next game. Make the next game, see what works, and because that's the whole point of making games is that you're just making them for people to enjoy, and sometimes they don't enjoy them as much, and honestly you really don't know, like just like making content on YouTube, you really don't know how many people are going to enjoy it until it's out there and you can actually see, because a lot of times you have something that you really worked hard on and you like it and you're like, this is going to do great. You put it out and it's crap. And then there's things that you just kind of rush out, like I'll just put this out so it's done, and then it explodes for God knows why, So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's just
I know
it's
that's
so
what I'm
frustrating.
telling him.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
like I want more than anything, and I know this is just a naive, desperate hope, but I just wish there was some accountability in this space, and I wish that the people at the top were facing some of the penalties here. Like I'm it bums me out that the people we routinely see get let go and sent away and shamed are the people who didn't make these decisions, and it just sucks. Just once I'd love to read the headline, like you said, Peter, like an executive taking a pay cut and saying, "Hey, I just laid off 1,000, 2,000 people. I'm taking $1 salary this year. I've got four. Like Phil Spencer's got 4 vacation homes, bro. This guy is so freaking loaded, and it's like, where is the accountability? Why are you sitting easy, on the beach somewhere and working chill hours while you're
Yep.
sending thousands of people to the meat grinder? It's just
When's
it
the
bums
last
me out.
time you heard of a video game exec getting fired because something wasn't working? No, it's always the studio,
Right.
that gets it. Like
Yeah.
it's
And then to have the audacity to say that, but even though we were doing these layoffs, we think the industry is moving in a good direction. Bro, if you think 4 mass layoffs in a year and a half is a good direction, you are not paying attention, Phil Spencer. I don't know what copium you are on. We can just be real. There is a problem here. AI is removing jobs. Budgeting, ballooning game development costs are way too high. Talent is expensive and limited, but it's desired. It's like there's so many problems that actually need to be addressed, and him just parroting like Xbox has a bright future ahead of it. Bro, I don't know that the people working in your office believe that, dude. Do you really believe that? Like it's just crazy. It's wild to me. Man, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Sean. I apologize. I
Don't
get
be
a
sorry.
little spicy. I get a little heat.
That's what we want.
We need to get you a button that
That's
just
what we
cuts
want.
me off. The
Nah, that's what we want.
That's what we want. Funny. Yeah. But yeah, it's a bummer. And I linked that article so people can read it. But I mean, I agree with the sentiment. It's like, why are people making these kinds of ungodly amounts of money? It's not okay. Something is wrong here. This is a bigger political wealth
Communist
inequality.
Clyde.
Yeah, communist Clyde appears. No, I mean, like, I'm cool with people making a big paycheck, but like, I mean, there is definitely an upper limit for me there. Like,
Yeah.
there's, yeah. Sorry, my political agenda is gonna start seeping out. We gotta be careful.
The means of video game production belong to the people.
Papers, please. Give me the paper. We have a, like, this is so random, but we have a totem by our Wi-Fi router. This, like, we got this for like a
Bro,
it was in the
what?
clearance at some
That looks like
go-
some ritualistic murder weapon. Like I feel like I'm about to be sacrificed.
We were at like a home goods store and it was on super clearance for like $2. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but we need it in our home. And now every time there's layoffs, I just high five Phil Spencer. Great job, bro. You did a great job at work today. Let's go, bro.
It looks so
summon
worn.
some ancestral spirit.
It is worn. It is so
Wow.
worn. That's how many layoffs there have been, bro.
Oh
There's been
no, that's terrible.
Oh my god.
God, like Sean is like, I was not expecting unhinged Clyde this
Jesus
afternoon.
Christ.
Kudos to
Yeah.
the prop department.
Yeah, like Jesus. What are you gonna pull out next? Like, God.
Right. Oh, speaking of pulling out horrible things.
No,
I'm just kidding. All right. So this week for our final segment, Sean wanted to have us talk about games that we love, we have a soft spot for, but are universally panned or hated. And since I've already teased mine, I'll be happy to go first. I decided to bring out Quest 64. This is a game for the Nintendo 64, and it came out at a time when gaming was evolving from a 2D to a 3D state, and it was very clunky. The evolution of games was very, very clunky in this period, and the graphics weren't quite ironed out. The gameplay wasn't quite ironed out. And this was an RPG that was on store shelves alongside games like Mario and Zelda, and they had very fun, fast, fluid gameplay.
That's so funny because I've never heard of it. Obviously, it's before my time.
I promise,
but like,
if you Google it, you will only see bad things. People will be like, "Quest 64 is awful. This game is terrible," and it is clunky and it is weird, but it was also kind of unique and quirky and interesting in its own way, and it had a magic system. Like,
but what if it got cancelled before it came out?
Honestly, you might have just made the best argument ever for stop killing games, because that might have saved the gaming industry. Maybe this is the kryptonite that I'm holding in my hands.
Yeah.
No, but I liked it, and I have great memories of it. My friend group and I have
That's
great
cool.
memories of it. But it's one of those games that's just like, if you saw gameplay of it, you'd be like, this is really jank. And it's like, yeah, it came out at a time when games were very, very jank.
Why do people hate it?
It's because it like I said, it stood alongside Mario and Zelda. And if you've played not A Link to the Past, oh my gosh, Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask or Mario 64, those games are very fast. Their moment-to-moment gameplay is really fast. And this was like a turn-based RPG with like a movement system, and the story was very spaghetti, and the graphics were just kind of all over the place, and it definitely was rough around the edges, but its moment-to-moment gameplay wasn't nearly as fast. So kids at the store were like looking at, the rental store, were seeing this box art, and they were like, "Whoa, wizard throwing magic, fireballs,
Yeah.
cool!" But when you actually play the game, it's a turn-based RPG, and it didn't hook them the right way. I think it probably just failed to set expectations properly for
I
the
guess
audience.
that makes sense, actually. Yeah.
Yeah,
The turn-based thing would
definitely
the turn-based thing would definitely throw me if I picked that up off the shelf, especially if you're like you said, if it's on the shelf with like Mario and Zelda and shit, that would be a bit of a nasty surprise. Well, each to their own, obviously, but for most people, for a lot of people, I feel like that'd be.
I can tell you, as one of those kids who went to the rental store and had to judge the book by its cover, there's a great many times I've been disappointed. By really snazzy cover art that ended up being the best part of some games.
I made Funny you mentioned that. I made a good decision. I have a vivid memory of going to a Blockbuster, and they used to have a box, like, you know how shops have like a mesh box, like a tray, usually put like footballs, soccer balls in them, and like sports shops and stuff, just filled like this bin of stuff. And it was like a mesh bin, and it was full of game cases. Like, you just pick them up and they'd be like cheap as fuck. And one of them, I saw it and I was like, whoa, what the fuck was that? And it was Star Wars Battlefront 2 PC CD case, and it was just in there. And I think I'd heard of it, but I didn't know much about it, and I bought it and I put it in my dad's Mac laptop, and oof, that game hit. That game fucking hit. Original Star Wars Battlefront 2. I remember playing as you can play as General Grievous and like doing the heroes versus villains. I was like, oh my god, because I loved the prequels. I loved General Grievous, and I loved Episode 3 in particular. So I was so happy.
Talking
like,
about loving someone that so many people hate.
Right.
Talking about what
Face only a mother can love, or I don't know, mad scientist.
Sorry, I had to pull that out. I'm sorry. It was relevant. You had to admit it was relevant.
Well, what else is relevant is, Clyde. I mean, I feel like I cut Clyde off. Clyde, you had more, didn't you?
That was the one I prepared for today. Give me some more time, and I'll think about some other games.
Well, since I mentioned original Star Wars Battlefront 2, this is kind of a funny one because the game's had a lot of second, third, and fourth wind, but EA Battlefront 2, as in 2017, obviously at time of launch and for the consecutive years afterward, with the slimy EA business practices, was just like a horrible game. Like, it really was. It was, and it's very hated, and it's famous for having the most disliked Reddit comment of all time surrounding its controversy, with like 700,000 dislikes. And yes, EA's new Battlefront 2 now, and even at the time it came out, I liked it, but especially now, is a great game. It's really cool. It keeps all of the soul and the heart of the original, but obviously with shiny new Frostbite engine, like 2017 graphics. It's one of the best looking games. Like just is. Like, especially at the time it came out, it was mind blowing. So was the 2015 Battlefront 1 remake that also looked fantastic when it came out.
I remember people were hating it on the new Battlefront 2, but I was playing it with my brother and we were having fun, you know?
It's great.
We were you're just, playing the vehicles or trying the different classes or getting to play the heroes. It had this fun kind of vibe to it, you know?
Well, that's where it's important to mention that the hate is not gameplay centric at all. The hate is because of the star card system when the game came out was pay to win. You pay for the loot boxes. Well deserved, yeah. You pay for the loot boxes that would contain items that were just like more health, more damage, just things like that. Just absolutely garbage. Pay to win. Just insane upgrades like grenades and stuff, and like explosives and things like that. Just all pay to win. Microtransaction loot boxes specifically, just even worse. Absolute bottom of the barrel. It's the worst combination of things. Yeah. I had a list somewhere. There it is. So I talked about Battlefront 2. This is a Clyde. I think you. I don't know if anyone shares. I don't know if anyone's played The Last of Us 2, but The Last of Us 2 is one of the bigger ones on the list, because that's not one that's like, it does have like its community, but that game is very hated. Like, it really is. Like, if you ask, like, The Last of Us 2.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't know.
No, it's very hated. In my opinion, just like mostly unfairly, with some hints of some validity in there. The story in it is the origin of the hate train that surrounds that game, is entirely the story. And in my opinion, I understand why people don't like it, but me personally, I think it's better than people make it out to be. I don't love it. I don't like the game for the story in particular, but I really don't think it's that bad. I think it's actually quite entertaining to play and to see what happens as the game goes on. Yeah, the story has a lot of issues, but I really didn't have any issues with motivation. Like, I wanted to keep playing the story. I wanted to see what was going to happen next. But even aside from story, just the game itself is so, it's kind of like how we talked about art and art being like undervalued and underappreciated. This is big in this case, because the game is stunning. To this day, it's one of the best looking games of all time. Also, The Last of Us 2, it's comfortably one of the best looking games ever. The graphics in it are absolutely unbelievable. It came out on PS4, which is unbelievable to think about. It came out on PS4 and it looks insanely good. The
Wow, I didn't
graphic
realize it launched on PS4 as well. That's crazy.
launched on PS4 at 30 FPS, came out on PS5 60 FPS. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy that ran on PS4. It looks unbelievable.
I'm sitting here wondering what kind of
Peter,
charmed
what are you
life do
shaking
you
your head at?
lead,
30
Peter?
FPS?
Games
Peter,
still
you-
releasing at 30 FPS. My God,
Yeah.
man. That's like 1990s shit right there. God.
Well, that was in 2019. So just on the verge of
Yeah.
the PS5, like getting games and stuff, obviously. So it had that they're in that phase. Well, I mean, it still happens, but like games releasing on PS4.
I gotta say, Peter, I don't know what gaming communities you live in that you didn't hear about people hating on The Last of Us 2, but
Yeah,
I
that's
need
crazy.
to join I need to join your gaming communities because every gaming community I was in, people were losing their minds about Last of Us 2. You know,
Yeah,
they
I
were
can't.
losing their
I can't
minds about it.
even like scroll Twitter today without seeing like comments about The Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
It's like
I think it's just because I ignore them because I never played it, so I just
yeah, that makes sense, of course.
I
But
just
like
kind of keep out.
spoilers, I guess, for anyone who's listening or anyone who cares at this point, like 6-7 years after release. But the main controversy is that the main character of the first game, who for a lot of people was beloved, and I liked, but I wasn't. I didn't have any particular obsession with this guy. I liked him though; he was cool. But like, he dies in the first probably hour of like the 30-hour game, first hour or the second hour of the game. Joel
Yeah, they kill
dies
Joel.
at the very beginning of the game, and people just, I think a lot of people wrote off the game at that point, which for me is a travesty and a huge mistake, because even if you're looking aside from the story, like even if you've given up on a story and you don't like it, the game is so good looking. It's so sound design and like art design, character design, it's all peak. Like it literally is. And the gameplay in it, yeah, it might be maybe outdated because it's a lot of just like shooting and slashing and like hitting people, but it's so realistic that it's just unbelievably satisfying to play. The gore in that game, I haven't seen gore like that in any other game ever, to the point where it was genuinely like, it was sometimes a bit disturbing to play, even though I was a fucking grown man. I was like, oh my God, the way people react to like getting shot, like the screaming and shit, the screaming and like the bit like missing limbs and screaming and like having like heads explode, like just pieces of heads like flying off and stuff. Like holy shit, it was morbid. That's the theme about the whole game. The game's very depressing. It's easily the most depressing game of all time. It's so fucked up.
I didn't play either of The Last of Us 1 or 2, but I've heard about this backlash, and it was very much centered around the controversy you described, Sean, that it was like, players that liked the main character of Joel or liked playing as Joel suddenly couldn't, and they were very upset by that. And I mean, on the one hand, I get that.
Get it.
You know, I understand that they're feeling bummed by that, but on the other hand, it's like, trust the storyteller too. Like give the game a chance. Give these other characters a chance. Like, you know,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm of two minds.
And a lot of the hate for it is the anti-woke crowd, which I'm not even gonna entertain because I don't care.
It's true.
But yeah, the game has a lot of anti-woke attention. I think mainly probably because it's two female playable protagonists, which people just people don't like.
Dude, like what a stretch!
And,
like
and
for decades, we've been having video games with female leads, and like it's just a thing.
And one of them is buff, which is apparently not. Which apparently also checks the boxes.
It's like
anti-woke. Yeah,
if Lara Croft Tomb Raider came out today, it would be considered DEI. I guarantee you. Right. I guarantee you. Yeah. If we're in an alternate universe where it never came out in the 90s, and instead it only came out in 2025, people would shit all over it. Oh, female lead DEI.
I hate the term DEI so much. I swear Donald Trump started that shit. I hate the term DEI. It makes me fucking so angry every time I see it. I'm like, you don't even know what DEI means. Shut the fuck up. Like, stop saying DEI. Every time I'm on Twitter and I see like a woman in a post in general, the comments are like, DEI, DEI, DEI.
Yeah,
Shut the fuck up about DEI.
I've been watching
DEI.
Yeah. I've watched a few of those the streams, like Summer Games Fest, where they show like trailers for new games and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and like the second a trailer comes up with a game with a female lead, DEI, 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 DEI. If they're not a white male as a lead,
Then it's DEI.
every time.
It's
It's like
DEI.
fucking ridiculous,
But
dude.
anyway,
like,
yeah,
what
the
the
last-
fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, The Last of Us 2
Yeah.
got a lot of this because it's two female protagonists. One of them is buff. She's like she's like really strong. It's kind of cool because the fact that she's so strong like affects gameplay. Not affects gameplay, but she has animations where she's like strangling people and just like brutally killing people with like blunt force weapons and shit. She's very strong and it's very cool. It's a good contrast from Ellie because Ellie is more about like stabbing and being stealthy and sniping and shit. Well, obviously the gameplay, you can use weapons as either of them, but you know what I mean. It's thematically different. She's a different person. She has like a different kind of role. And also there's a character in it who I think trans, Lev, who is there's like one reference in the game where I think one of the other NPCs like dead names the trans character by accident, and then Abby, the buff character who you're playing as, is like, why'd they call you that? And then the trans character says like, oh, like never mind, or dismisses it, or he's like, or he says something like, oh, do you care or do you want to know? And Abby's just like, no, and then the game moves on. That's the only reference to it in the entire game. That's it. The reference was literally the point of that conversation was that they don't care. That was the reference. It was just like, okay, we're moving on now. And so the game got absolutely dogpiled by anti-woke, and it still does today. And again, like I said, that's a non-thing for me. So
it sucks because there are legitimate conversations that like we as a society and as a community need to be having about inclusivity and about representation and about gender identity. These are things that should be talked about, but people that are screeching DEI woke just because that game features a female lead it's not helping the conversation, and it makes conversation impossible a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And I know that I know this is going to happen, regardless of the games they make, because it's already happened with their trailer for Intergalactic. I don't know if y'all have seen Intergalactic. It's like this upcoming space game. And people are like, it's a non-white female character leading it. Whoa! And it's like, please, like, can we just like play the game for 5 minutes before we're shrieking about things? Like, it's tough. Very difficult.
This is all aside from the fact that it's an actress who's worked with Neil Druckmann for a long time, is in The Last of Us 2, and is in the TV show. So it's like, it's just a non-argument. It's a complete non-argument. It's ridiculous.
Split Fiction, you know?
Yeah.
Actually a pretty fun game. And you know, sure, it's got a story, and I skip most of the story because that's just how I roll. But it's like you just can't have a game with it's weird because it's so counterproductive, because it's just that you just literally can't have a female lead at all, and like in what world do they live in where it's like it's just not possible that a woman or someone who isn't white is a character that you can play, or is not, just a side character or something like that. I think what they're insinuating is even worse than that they're not complaining about these games with, obviously male characters and leads. It's just so weird that.
Yeah, and the crazy thing, Peter, it's like you said, like, these people insist this is what's ruining gaming, right? They're like, these damn women are ruining gaming. It's like, bro, we have so many problems in the gaming industry right now. We got Phil Spencer jerking it to laying off thousands of people, and women are the thing ruining gaming right now.
Jerking it to the Indiana Jones credit screen.
Yeah, like literally, it's just crazy to me. There are people out there that are like, these goddamn women are ruining gaming. They're the reason gaming's going to shit. And it's like, holy crap. It's just
and they might have like some leg to stand on if this was something recent, but it's not. It's literally been happening since video games existed. There's I could rattle down a list of female like Samus, like God, she was
Jill Valentine.
Right. I mean, we could go on for days about this. Like, and they're iconic, they're loved, and they're an amazing.
Literally one of the characters in the game, Ellie. She's a PlayStation icon. She always will be, and she's lesbian.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Where was DEI in Last of Us 1? Yeah. I mean, she was a main character who was female. Like, where was that? Right. So there's no consistency, there's no reasoning, there's no logic. It's all just emotion based
Yeah.
bullshit.
Yeah.
If I were to make a
And-
list of the top 10 things killing gaming today, women leading games or, some extra inclusivity would not even approach my list of issues. Like there are so many problems in the
It's
gaming
not an
industry
issue.
right
It's
now.
not on the list.
It's not an issue. It's not even on the list. Exactly. It's like yeah, I mean it's mind blowing to me. It's crazy.
I mean,
and I hope that
that was spicy. Wrapping up The Last of Us 2. Basically. Yeah, I genuinely think it's underappreciated because of politics and because people are upset that Joel died. But I don't think it's great. I do think the story's got loads of valid issues. It's the story's weirdly paced, and maybe like I also would have liked to have played as Joel a little bit. Like I'm not as sucking Joel's dick as much as everyone else, but like I would like to see Joel again. That would have been cool. But yeah, Last of Us 2, in my opinion, good game.
at
Anyway,
least not worth it. Not worth the hate.
not worth the hate, in my opinion.
The Walking Dead video game.
Which one? There's multiple, isn't there? Saints and Sinners?
The gosh, who made it?
Telltale? I'm just rattling off names.
The Telltale one. Yeah. I mean, you know what happens at the end, right?
Isn't
I
that
don't wanna
beloved
spoil it.
though?
Yes, exactly. That's the whole point.
Oh,
It was the main character was a black guy, and the secondary main character was a little girl, and I don't think she was white, was she? I mean,
is her name
I don't know.
Clementine?
Clementine.
Yeah.
Clementine, I think. Yeah. I don't think she was white. I don't know. I don't remember. Don't seem to remember details.
Normal
like that.
people
They're not too
don't.
important to me,
Normal
but-
people don't care.
Yeah, and
Right.
and similarly at the end, spoiler alert, he dies.
Yeah,
and
he does.
people were mad about that, and like, can you imagine that game coming out now? A black man as the main character, and with a little, I don't know if she was Latino or whatever girl, like people would shit all over that, and yet here it is. It's a very beloved game, and people love it, and they loved the character so much that they were mad that he died, and now suddenly that's not valid. Like, at what point did that change? Because games didn't change at all. So it's very recent. It's very transient. It's very bullshit with no reasoning to it. It's people wanting to get angry over shit that doesn't work. And you hear that from them a lot. You hear a lot, oh yeah, they're always whining about inclusivity and blah, blah, blah. Well, you're always whining about people who are who are not white and male, you're part of the problem. You're literally the problem because you're just not letting people be people. It's fucked up that has come to this.
Out there, some people are claiming GTA 6 is DEI, and I'm like, did you not see the women twerking on the cars? Like, what more do you need to not be like? It's just, I don't know. To me, it's crazy. It's just the presence of having a female lead is enough to engender hatred and vitriol on the internet.
Was that San Andreas? Was it the one where it was like in it was like mostly black characters, right? I mean,
right.
Wait, wasn't one of the main characters for 5? Well, wasn't one of them a black guy? I mean, what the fuck, man? Like, at what point did that become not okay? Like,
absolutely.
It's like I need all 3 protagonists to be white straight men.
I'm gonna trail us off this.
I'm
gonna trail us off this spicy. Ooh.
Do it good. Yeah, no, it's probably.
I'm glad we talked about it though. Has to be talked about.
Something has to be said about it.
Needs mentioning, especially in terms of Last of Us 2, because that was ridiculous.
Oh yeah, unwarranted. Yeah, and it makes legitimate conversation and criticism about the game harder to have because there's so many loud voices making crazy claims, and you're like, no, this isn't a perfect game, but none of my criticisms about the game are centered around the fact that there was a lesbian character in it. That has nothing to do with my criticism of the game. It's like, it's important.
And they say that they'll be like, oh, why can't we have male white leads anymore? What's wrong with that? And it's like, nothing was ever wrong with that. It's just that whenever there isn't that, you make it a deal. You are the fucking problem, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, does
Anyways.
anyone have any more games that are generally disliked that you are a fan of, or should I list off some more?
yes.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I mentioned it before. Gigantic
Oh, you mentioned it.
was this really fun game that I enjoyed playing, and had some cool characters. Had this really, really unique art style, and I remember I really enjoyed that game, man, and it was fun to play the different classes. They all had wildly different play styles, and yet it was just not popular. It got to a point where you just couldn't queue. There was just no one playing it, and it was sad because I really did enjoy it, and they did have a private server, like I said, that some people kept going, and it did get re-released at some point, and I thought it was going to have a second life, but sure enough, it didn't last long, and before you know it, not many people were playing it again. So apparently, it's not a very liked game.
Do you know why people don't like it?
I honestly don't know, man. I thought it was cool. I thought it was fun, but maybe it was a marketing thing because I guess maybe people just didn't hear about it. I feel like if more people tried it, they'd have liked it.
Yeah,
but maybe it wasn't as much people hated it as much as no one knew about it. Because I mean, if you guys didn't hear about it, then that just
I have no
rings
idea.
true.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, right. No, not surprised at all.
you're correct.
But you brought up Resident Evil. Resident Evil 5.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I knew you. I knew you'd written that one down.
Yeah, like people shit on that game all the time. But I remember it was the first Resident Evil to have co-op play, and I played through that whole game with my buddy, and we had a fun time. Like, sure, the story's crap and the acting's terrible, but that's Resident Evil. That's core Resident Evil right there. Yeah. I mean, obviously they kind of jumped the shark with 6, but still had a little fun playing it. But definitely 5. It's underrated.
Yeah, that game, like in terms of discussion, changed a lot. I remember hearing it get shafted all the time, like years ago.
Yeah.
But then recently, I've heard a lot of people playing it. My friend is playing it right now. That's such a weird coincidence. My friend, because he asked me to play Rainbow Six Siege before we recorded it, and I was like, I'm going to be busy for a couple of hours. So he's like, oh, it's okay. Me and my friend are going to go on Resident Evil 5, and then they've been on it like the whole time. That's such a funny coincidence.
Nice.
But yeah,
Nice.
yeah. My friend
that's what I got it from. I saw it on your screen when I was.
Oh yeah.
Oh god. Oh, I said something. Oh fuck. No.
You got to message him right now.
Random guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
This is your
what are the
moment, Sean.
chances?
DM him. Be like, I need a review now of the game.
He is playing with my friend right now, co-op, like while recording in the background. That's who he's playing with, the mystery mode.
Yep. You got it.
But yeah, Resident Evil 5 is a good one. People definitely turned around on that.
Yeah. And Aliens Fireteam Elite. I thought that game was pretty cool. It's kind of like a Left 4 Dead style Aliens game.
Yeah.
And they did a pretty good job on it because
I played it.
and the
Thought it was
harder
cool.
difficulties, it's pretty hard.
It is hard.
But,
I thought it was hard on the easier difficulty. Like it's intense.
Yeah. It gets rough, man. It's cool, and it's not like shitty challenging where they just like take the enemies and they add like 10 times more of them.
It's strategic.
Or they give them like a billion more health. No, like they really find ways to screw over your strategies and your techniques, and they got nice. Very satisfying weapons.
Oh yeah.
Very cool class abilities.
Yeah.
You look awesome with like holding the smart gun, like you're in Aliens 2. A bunch of that awesome movie reference stuff. It's like it just felt like a good game, and especially like with how terrible movie to games usually end up.
Oh yeah.
Like that bar is pretty low, but even then it was still pretty good. But yet people didn't like it. Like. There was far worse Alien games to shit on, but apparently that was something that they didn't. So I don't understand the hate for that one.
That's a good one. That definitely deserves to be on the list. I remember seeing I think I looked at Steam reviews or Google or some sort of articles about it, and people were just saying it's mid or bad. And when I actually got around playing it myself, I was like, this is quite cool. Like I could see me and the boys having this going doing all the hard difficulties on it. It's fun. It's strategic. You have to set up as a team and shit. kind of like
It
like
does.
Helldivers.
You actually have to communicate
Yeah.
and you have to coordinate. You have to work together. And if your teammate needs help, you have to go over and help them. You don't just kind of shoot aliens and run down hallways and stuff. It was really cool how the game forced you guys to work together and to stay together. Because if anyone wandered off alone, they're fucked. Yeah. It was kind of like Left 4 Dead, where you got to band together. It's the apocalypse. You're not going to survive alone. It's how well you guys work together is what determines if you win or not. And so, that really didn't deserve the flack it got.
No. Do you mind if I list one? Because I'm excited to talk about this one.
No, go ahead.
Mass Effect 3. I'm pretty sure that game is quite hated, but I know
that is a spicy one.
It's hated for like specific reasons, though. So this is interesting to talk about because I only played, like, obviously I talked about this on the show before. I only played them properly. I think it was the end of last year or beginning of this year, around the time we started doing this podcast. It was the first ever episode I've said I was playing it. And holy shit, that's one of them things where I wish I played them when I was little, because when I was little, if I got onto that, and there were certainly times when I was younger as well, I saw it and I was like, oh, I'll pass. But it's now one of my favorite franchises of all time. Having played it for the first time in 2024, 2025, I was obsessed with it. I played them all in a matter of weeks, and not only that, I played them all again. I did 2 playthroughs, like back to back, in a matter of weeks.
That's huge.
And I've done like I think I've done like a 3rd playthrough or maybe a multiple more, but not completed them.
Really?
Not completed them, but like got quite far in, at least to 2, because that's my favorite. Obviously, I think it's most people's favorite.
Yeah.
And something that I was surprised by when I first played it was that I knew, because the game's been around for so long and has been discussed about it for so long. I know, because I've heard like through the grapevine, whatever I'm trying to say, that people hate the 3rd game. Like, I knew that people don't like the 3rd game. Everyone loves 2. People like 1, but the 3rd game is like, people say it's ruined it. People said it has like an ending like Lost in Game of Thrones and shit. Like,
don't spoil the ending. I still have a save game.
You haven't.
That I'm eventually
you don't know what
going
the ending is.
I've heard bad stuff about it. But,
I won't.
I don't. Yeah,
I won't spoil it. No.
I'm eventually going to get around to getting it, but
my point doesn't have to do with the ending anyway, because so I don't have to spoil it to get across what I'm going to say, which is fine, because the game is basically, it's in terms of story, which is what I was really playing for, because I never really loved the gunplay and stuff. I always thought it was just a little bit mid, like not that interesting. I always just made a build that was overpowered and killed everyone as fast as possible, so I could get to the next cutscene, or so I could get to the next dialogue. That's how I played it every single time, and I loved playing it that way. I didn't think too hard about the combat. Yeah, sometimes cool stuff would happen. Sometimes the animations and the gore were cool, but like, I didn't care for the combat. I was just getting through it. I was getting through it every time. So a lot of people say that the combat is like significantly downgraded in 3, and I felt that it was a bit more cartoony. It's a bit more like, you could tell in Mass Effect 3 they leaned away from like using your abilities RPG to like cover shooter, like specifically cover shooter, like an Uncharted, like Last of Us kind of typical cover shooter. They lent a little bit into that in 3, you can tell. But the reason I very much like it and I'm not on board with the hate is because the game, story-wise, is literally on par with Mass Effect 2 until like the 99% mark of the game. So that's like the vast majority of the game is on par, if not better in some places, story-wise, than 2. And it not only that, but it pays off. The game is like, you know how Avengers Endgame is just a sequence of amazing payoffs, and that's why everyone loves it so much. It's like payoff. It's just banging off payoff like it's a bingo card. That's what Mass Effect 3 is like. Everything gets paid off. All the characters who you've survived, who you've kept alive from the first game and from the second game, where you meet loads of characters, they all get cool, satisfying closure. All of them. It's great. It's genuinely a great game. It's amazing, and it's got past all that, it's got an amazing DLC, a spy DLC, where you do stealth, where you have like you get dressed up in a suit and you have a suppressed pistol for one mission, like a mission that's very cinematic, and you do a mission where you have every companion who's alive with you, which doesn't happen in the normal base game. You normally pick 2. And in this game, and in this DLC, you still pick 2, but all of them are like around you anyway, every single companion. And they have a really cool team shot where Shepard is stuck and every single companion peeks over the balcony and shoots at the same time. Oh my god. It's like Avengers Endgame. It's such a great DLC, and it finishes off with a fight where you basically the premise of the DLC is that Shepard gets cloned, and it's really funny. And there's loads of really funny dialogue about the clones. Like it's full of comedy. The DLC as well. There's a moment where Shepard's like, when he first hears himself speak, he goes into like an existential crisis because he thinks he sounds stupid, which is funny because the voice actor is very self-aware of the fact that he's been criticized in the old games, and after he hears his own voice, he's like, "Oh, do I really fucking sound like that?" It's really funny. They lean into a lot of self-aware jokes in the DLC. It's great, genuinely.
Yeah,
amazing game.
I mean,
and it's exactly like you said. The only criticism I ever hear about it is the ending. People lose their minds about it, and it's centralized around that really content. And I've never heard somebody complain about the gameplay or the other storytelling. It's always just that ending was horrible.
I have a theory that because Mass Effect 2 was so good that because 3 wasn't as good, then suddenly it's just absolute terrible, garbage, horrible, just because it wasn't exactly as, and because because there was the jump from 1 to 2. And 1 still had good story, but the gameplay was really basic in that one. It left a lot to be demanded, in the first one. And they really improved it in the second one. And I think people were expecting that jump again, like this is going to be even better. Now they're going to improve on everything. And when that didn't happen, now they're just so angry that they just think it's crap now because it should have been the greatest of the entire series, or something like that.
On that same note, specifically endings, because Mass Effect 2 in my opinion is the best ending, maybe not even a game, just one of the best endings to a story I've ever seen in my life. It's so satisfying. It's just everything that was built up across the game is paid off. You're built up, and it's like, it's not anticlimactic, it's climactic. It is everything that you've been hearing about. People have been telling you, like, oh, you're going on this mission, you're going on this crazy mission. People have been yapping about it for the whole game. When you actually do it, my heart was like racing. I was terrified. My heart was genuinely like I was running a marathon while I was playing the last mission of Mass Effect 2. I was absolutely shitting myself. And when you run to the ship at the very end, to like the final stretch, I was like, I've never felt so invested in a game in my entire life. It feels like you're a real commander and you're responsible for everyone who's on the mission. It's just the best thing.
I'm someone who doesn't worry about story most of the time.
Fuck you. Kidding.
Yeah, if it doesn't catch me within the first hour or so, I'm just skipping dialogue for the rest of the game. Like, I'll give it a chance, but after that, it's no, whatever. Just text, blah, 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 skip, next thing. So for me to like the story so much that I'm just waiting for the next thing to happen, I want to see each companion's special, unique quest that they have to do. For me to want to explore all those parts of the game means they really did a great job on it.
Yeah.
And
Jeez,
so,
Peter, you're so DEI. Don't you know Garrus isn't a white man? What's wrong with you?
That's another good example of the DEI thing. Anyway, that's another example. Like, how you were mentioning old games that were like people would call woke now. Mass Effect literally has characters that are like asexual and shit, and aliens, and like just things like that. People would go crazy now.
You know what's really funny? The people who are bitching about DEI, at one point they played a game where you could choose to be male or female, and they chose to be female because it made no difference.
Yeah.
And so at one point they actively chose to play a female character, and they didn't see a problem with it. But when they're not given a choice, then suddenly it's just life ending. Oh my God, how can they do this to me? Gaming is ruined,
Yeah.
But I think the broader point, I think that, like you just said, Sean, which is totally true, which is if Mass Effect 3 came out today, people wouldn't just complain about the ending. They'd be like, woke DEI trash. This is woke DEI trash garbage. The ending is terrible. It's like, we can talk about the ending being bad without like getting lost in the sauce here. Like, what's going on here? Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, Mass Effect 3, I understand some of the hate for the ending. I understand some of the hate for the ending, without spoiling anything for Peter, that's all I'll say. But the entire game up to that
I've
point,
heard so much about,
which is a long game, you can get like 20-30 hours out of it, just like 2. For 99% of that game, you're experiencing peak gaming. Literally. So when you word like
so
that,
you didn't like the ending either, I take it?
No, I didn't like the ending very much, especially coming off Mass Effect 2, which just had such an incredible ending. Yeah, the ending is, you'll know what I mean when you play it, but it's just weird and it's not what you expect at
Yeah,
all.
I hear that. It just
It's
loses
it's
tone
the
with the rest
opposite of
the
what
game.
you expect, especially if you just played 2.
Yeah.
There is multiple endings though, but they all have a similar sort of about them that you'll see.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
spoilers here.
No spoilers. Yeah. Anyone else have any
Spoiler-free zone.
games?
That was my list. So unless you guys have something
I
else.
have. I put this on the list, but it's not necessarily hated. It has such a strong, loving community even to this day, even though it's been through some shit. But it's definitely caught on a lot of flack. Destiny 1 and 2, they've both caught on a lot of shit over their lifetime. So I think they still fit the criteria, especially the first game, because the second game, although it has had its own controversy, second game definitely improved on a lot of what was wrong with the first game. Basically, the first game, when it came out, it was very content dry. It didn't deliver on many of the promises that Bungie said, that Bungie, claimed when they made it, which became a common theme in the future with all games. That was really one of those first games that felt like it was a bit misleading with the marketing. I remember that being the first notable one of those that I remember because I was young at the time. Of being like, this isn't really what they said. Like, they said I could like fly ships around and stuff, or they said I can do this. They said all these planets are fully explorable. They said this and that, and it never turned out to be the case. But it's Bungie, so the gameplay in Destiny 1 carried the whole game easily. The game, I remember just being locked in. They had the campaign in it was terrible. All of the campaigns are terrible. The campaign in Destiny 1 had so many memes. For example, it has a meme where when you finally think you're finding out some information, because it's one of those, pull you along by like, I'll tell you soon, I promise, and then people like walk away. It's one of those games, the campaign, which is really funny. But there's a meme that became the name of an exotic in Destiny 2 because it's a community meme. But there's a line where the character, the stranger, she's speaking to her, and you finally think you might be getting some answers, and she goes, I don't even have time to explain why I don't have time to explain, and then leaves. And that's it. It was one of those games. Yeah, terrible in terms of campaign, but it had. It was the cross between MMO and FPS really hit for some people, because especially for people like me who were coming from Halo, and it was obviously marketed as being a bit like Halo, and it did kind of have that vibe in terms of combat. And doing that, but with like dungeons and raids and stuff, and like PvE always online with randoms or with your friends, obviously.
Yeah.
Doing like Nightfall, like hard missions, grinding for loot, like a looter shooter with raids and stuff and endgame content was very new and very fresh. So even though they pulled it off badly in terms of what they promised, it was kind of one of a kind. So it did really well. It was successful. It had a good player base for a long time. People still play it now because they're fucking weird. Like, people go back and do the raids on it because some of them aren't available in Destiny 2. Or they might be now, but back then they weren't. Yeah, love Destiny 1. I have like 1,800 hours in it on PS4. I checked the other day, which is crazy. Dang. On PS4 as well, just like 30 FPS or whatever. I don't know. It was probably 60. I don't remember. But anyway, sorry, I almost make Pia cry. But yeah,
it's nice when you have a game like that, when you're like, you're like the world has decided you're not a beautiful swan, but even though you're an ugly duckling, I still love you. I feel like oddly protective about Quest 64. So
it felt like that even back in the day. I think everyone who was playing it knew the faults, which was kind of wholesome. We all knew the faults, but another thing that helped was that the devs and like the community managers were great. They were so involved with the game. They were always talking. They were always playing it. I remember they used to play it all the time and live stream and stuff. They were always playing it, and they were always talking about it, and they were always adding stuff. Obviously, it was a massive live service success. The first Destiny game had some great DLCs like Taken King that basically they had the hype of like full game releases when they came out. Some of these DLCs. Yeah, so pretty shit game at times. But just because it was so unique and gameplay was executed so well, good raid encounters and things like that, satisfying loot, cool weapons, cool art design, came in clutch, basically. Second game, I can basically say the same thing. Second game tidied up a lot of the stuff from the first game, but it had a heap of its own issues. It was way more microtransaction heavy than the first game, because we're getting into that era at this point, when Destiny 2 came out. Also, just lots of predatory stuff. Again, hits and misses with content, and now it's at a point where I think Bungie have been strangled for a long time now. I think they've made some stuff. They've had some cancelled projects as well, and they've been working on some stuff on the back burner for a while. And they've had layoffs. Bungie have had layoffs, and Destiny 2 struggling a little bit. I think the last 2 DLCs didn't go down too well, but again, I see it all the time. It's all over my YouTube all the time. It's all over YouTube. It's all over Twitch. Popular got a player base because the core gameplay is great. It's still kind of unique. Obviously, there's more games like that around now, but it's, Destiny is Destiny. You play it and you get an experience that you don't really get in any other game. I don't know how to explain it. It just feels very unique. You can't play Destiny anywhere else. I think that's why it'll always have a cult following. But yeah, that was Destiny. I thought it was definitely worth mentioning because it's been so controversial for a long time.
It's funny how perception of games changes over time too. Like a game that is well loved and beloved in this moment today, in 2 years that could change drastically. Like that thing, especially these live games. Like y'all are both cracking out to Dune right now, and y'all are both fiending for Dune. And right now, Dune is positively received, but we don't know what the future holds. They could pull a total. I'm not to say Helldivers. They could pull some terrible decision.
Don't you dare slander Helldivers on this podcast.
Yeah, no, I'm not slandering Helldivers on this, but that's my point. Is like one bad decision can totally embroil the community against you in mere moments. So it's like, what is a positive game today could it totally change minds tomorrow. So yeah, that's not me trying to poison Dune. Go play Dune and enjoy Dune, y'all. Go kill some sandworms.
Clyde's cursing Dune by saying it's gonna become bad.
You can't kill the sandworms in Dune, by the way.
Really? Oh dang, that sucks. No. I mean, I guess that would make sense, but
get corrected, motherfucker. Yeah. But
get corrected.
It's funny you mentioned what did you just mention? My mind just got Helldivers, because my coworker who I used to play it with quite a lot, he recently brought it up at work. Nathan, he's probably listening, and he was like, "Oh, Helldivers, it's good, but I just don't know if I like it anymore." And I got genuinely I was like, "What are you talking about? What are you talking? Just because you can't play it every day because you've played it too much or you got fed enough of it doesn't mean it's bad." And he was like, "No, it's not bad. It's not great. If we went on it now, we get bored and go off after one game." And I was like, "I know. Well, that doesn't determine the quality of the game. Because some games are 5 hour long single player campaign that isn't replayable. Just because you can't play it every day or every week doesn't mean it's bad." I think I was sad that it didn't get nominated for Game of the Year or something. That might have been why we were talking about it in that conversation. But yeah, I just think that's funny. I think that the perception that because a live game isn't like lives that because a multiplayer game isn't you're not playing it months after release, many months after release, that it's bad. I just don't think it's true, because you don't have to add. The Helldivers 2 has so much stuff in it. It's got at this point three great enemy factions in it. Lots of all the maps, all the guns and stuff, the battle passes, which maybe they're a bit expensive. You can earn them through the gameplay, whatever. It's definitely a great game, and it's definitely got a ton of content in it. And the fact that he was slandering in it made me mad. He was trying to slander Helldivers in front of me.
How dare you?
A good game will always be a
fucking
good game.
Democracy. Exactly.
Although I have to say,
Peter, thank you.
I think they did kind of ruin the higher difficulties.
Shut the fuck up now. Get off my fucking
used
podcast.
To be absolutely awesome, insane. You would barely survive each time. It was great, but then I think they buffed all the weapons across the board.
Yeah, they did.
And then Helldive was so much easier, they had to make an extra hard mode, because
10,
a 10 mode. And the 10 mode that they came out with is actually easier than the Helldive.
Why?
What Helldive was before. And so people like me are pissed off. But most people, I don't know.
Why is
Not
it
everyone was playing at the hardest difficulties, but yeah, it was definitely something man, that kind of irked me, and now I don't play it as much anymore.
Helldivers slander is unacceptable. I just don't. I agree, but the thing is, it just doesn't take away from how fun it was for me. The fact that it's not fun.
Oh, it's still an absolutely amazing game.
Yeah,
it's just that I feel like it ruined something that was fine. It was completely fine. It was more than fine. It was great. It felt very. The difficulty levels, they felt very just fitting. You felt it going up from a tier. It was increase every way in the difficulty. And the greatest part of it was they never changed
The
the
enemies,
health
yeah, they're the same.
of the enemies
Mhm.
or the damage of the weapons. They just made more of them, or they added more
Newer
additional
ones.
types of units
Yeah.
that were harder, like the Bile Titans and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it was great. The balance was awesome,
balance.
and the scale that you went up to climb that, it felt very good. So I feel like they disrupted that, all in the name of the people who were bitching about, oh my, I want to be able to use my weapon, but it's crap. Like, yeah, that's just how games are. Some weapons are crap. Like, say hello to the shotgun. When's the last time you played a game where the shotgun wasn't complete ass confetti cannon, right?
Yeah.
It's just so yeah. I guess the weapons are much more usable in any form now, but at the same time, I felt it lost a bit of what made them so fun to use in the first place, was that you were fighting for your life. And my favorite memories of that game are just absolutely just barely making it to the extraction zone. You're completely surrounded, and the ship comes, and you just barely you have to dive into the ship at the last second to prevent this, as the waves just collapse on top of you, and you just barely make it out alive with like one or two stocks left, and it's just like, oh man, that feels great. And now,
I'm
like,
imagining like a bald eagle screaming in the background and America music playing. Yeah.
And now they actually changed that too. They changed the extraction point, where it used to, when you were at the extraction point, you would get increased levels of enemies. Like the most pissed they would be in the whole whole round was at the extraction point. They'd just start coming. They'd keep coming. They wouldn't stop, and that added to the game. And post change, now, like, there's a lot of times where you're at the extraction point and you're just kind of sitting there waiting for the ship to come. You're like, damn, man. And then the music's kicking in. It's dun, 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 dun. And you're like, man, I remember rocking to this when I was fighting for my life. And now I'm just kind of sitting here, like, looking out in the distance, like, where's the enemies, So, yeah, that's kind of my qualm about the game that I have. And I see Sean visibly uncomfortable.
I'm going to delete this. I'm going to delete this section of the upload. So for democracy,
censor the entire thing.
For democracy, because that's the
first-
propaganda, right? I have to cut out the slander. That's the whole point.
But you gotta agree that there were changes made to that kind of stuff. And
I do agree. I do agree.
Not everyone was pissed about it, but there are some people who are kind of didn't like that. Yeah. So to give them credit though, like, they really do listen to their community. Like, they got really good community outreach and support. And if people bitch them about something, they'll change it. And we need a lot more of that in companies now, because God knows how many times we've seen glaring problems in games that are just so obvious that you don't even need to point them out, and developers don't do shit. It could be the easiest fix, like how many times Nintendo has just not even caved into the easiest of concessions that people ask for. But
FromSoft doesn't even have online duos for Night Rain. What is going on here? No, totally agree. We need companies that, like,
don't get me back on that.
We need companies that hear the feedback and go, all right, there's something valid here. We should probably work on this. We should probably just not ignore everyone. Options are ignore everyone or fix shit. It's like, we should probably just fix shit.
Kudos to Arrowhead. They didn't do it to piss people off. They did it to make people happy, and whether it worked or not, it was the intent. So
yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Well, we've ran, Clyde, well over 2.5 hours at this point, so I think we're going to wrap up for today.
All
Clyde,
right.
Thank you for coming back. Appreciate it a lot,
sir.
It's
good to have you.
Always fun to be here, y'all. It's always fun to chat games. Apologies for raising our blood pressure collectively when we got on Stop Killing Games and Xbox Game Studio closures, but gosh darn it, I'm glad we're talking about it. It's important to talk about.
Great topic. Really good talk. Really good chats today, guys. Just before I finish, though, I will, in case anyone is like lingering and you're about to finish watching the video, still listening, I am going to put the link for Stop Killing Games, whether you're in the UK or Europe, like EU, they're both going to be in the description. So if you think that games should, companies should be forced to keep games playable in some state after taking your money, then you should sign. That's just that's it. That's how it works. That's the long and short of it. Okay.
Yep. And if it gets passed in Europe, then it could be example for the rest of the world.
It's going to change how they have
Uh,
to make all games.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Because
Absolutely.
and able to, in order to sell their games in Europe, they're going to have to make their games change, even if they're from another country. So it's good for the world, really. So yeah, by all means, please help out. Give your support, show them that that you care.
Yep.
All right. All good.
Well, thanks for having me all.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
All right. Take care.